Alrighty, welcome to episode 134 of Tokwa's Ask Us Anything. As usual, it's been a pretty busy news week. Tesla has introduced an extended warranty offering in North America for models S, 3, X and Y that are still currently covered by new car warranty. Described as an extended service agreement, the new offering is intended to cover the repair or replacement necessary to correct defects in the materials or workmanship of most parts manufactured or supplied by Tesla during the coverage period, excluding the lithium-ion battery and drive unit, which have their own separate warranty. It is not currently known if and when Tesla will introduce a similar package into the Australian market. Tesla's Gigafactory Berlin in Brandenburg passed the 5,000 car per week production barrier late last week. If sustained, this performance would translate to an annual production rate in excess of 250,000 units, less than a month since its production rate passed 4,000 units per week. This achievement comes just over 1 year to the day that Tesla's third manufacturing plant commenced production, following on from Tesla's original Fremont plant and the Shanghai Gigafactory. Tesla is rolling out an incremental improvement to the heating mode of its air conditioning system. Rather than circulating air into the cabin as soon as heating is turned on, the HVAC system will go into a warming up phase whereby air is internally heated first before being discharged into the cabin. Tesla have begun deliveries of its refreshed Model S and X vehicles into mainland China. These are the first deliveries into China since Tesla announced refreshed models back in January 2021. At this stage, it is not known when deliveries of these models might commence in Australia. Tesla has finally enabled service mode in Australia. With advanced diagnostics and control functions, Australian owners are now able to explore the deepest technical details of their cars, as well as allowing non-Tesla technicians to perform useful maintenance procedures. And that was this week's news. Indeed it was, and welcome to the main part of the show. So as is customary, if anyone is new, please unmute yourselves and say hello.
Evening, Harold. It's Mark here. I've been around for a little while, lurking, but this is the first time I've actually put myself up there. So good evening to everybody. And,
welcome, Mark.
Forgive me because I have converted. I have not been near a petrol station in the last 2 months. So it's absolutely fantastic. Model 3 arrived in the February 1st. I picked it up, or February 2nd, and I am ecstatic still. The grin hasn't left my face. So it's excellent. And I've been following you guys for a while beforehand. I came down to the track day, which was excellent. Yeah, it's been really, really good so far. Now, I may have to duck off a little bit because I have meetings on a Wednesday, which is usually the reason why I lurk, but I'll still be floating around.
No worries. Thank you very much, Mark, and welcome to a live Ask Us Anything. So much better than that YouTube rubbish that we put up later on. Alrighty, anyone else that would like to say hello, please do so. Or not, it's cool. If you want to do that a little bit later on, you're more than welcome just to pipe up and say hello and ask a question. Alrighty, so anyone got any opening news comments, anything new, burning questions? Please fire away. Oh, you got to unmute. Alison, come on out, you can do it. No, not yet. Yes, there you go.
I know how to unmute. I do have this is the first time you've ever seen me, by the way, but you have heard my Scottish accent, I'm sure. And thank you for all the waves. If you're on and you've been waving, thank you. I've been getting lots of waves, so thank you so much. Right, as far as the question is, I'm really confused. Recharging. So I'm charging at the moment just with a 10 amp in my garage, and that's fine. I don't do many clicks, and I make it come on at 9 a.m. and I say to Siri to remind me when it's 3 p.m. if I'm still at the house, so that if I go over, I'm still on my EV plan at 8 cents because I'm on solar. But I'm just aware that it takes a long time to charge at 10. So I thought I would maybe get my electrician in to put me on a 15 amp and a 32 amp plugs in the garage. So I would have choices that, look, I'm drawing 8 in at the moment with my thing, I'll use my 32. That was my feeling. But I don't think it's quite as easy as that, and it's quite expensive to get that into your garage. I've got quite a long run from where the thing is. So, and then he was speaking, am I 3-phase? I'm 3-phase, but that I couldn't use 32 on my 3-phase because it would draw all the electric, I don't know, from the house.
Yep.
I thought, oh, that's ridiculous. I mean, surely you get more than 32. You used to get 80, now you get 32. And anyway, so now we're thinking, right, he was going to put a single phase box into my garage, and then I'd have single phase for the 32, and it was really getting complicated.
No,
so
okay, so let me stop you there. So firstly, you certainly can get an electrician to fit a 15 amp general purpose outlet, a GPO. Now, I'm fairly certain that the electricians are required to run a separate circuit, so you can't just convert one of your current 10 amp GPOs to a 15 amp. The electrician has to run a separate circuit. But what that will do is provide you a 50% increase in charging power, which will probably better match your solar output between 9 and 3 if that's your main game. Now, you did mention 3-phase and 32 amps and all that sort of stuff. So it is true. So you can buy through places like Alibaba and I think evse.com.au and a few other sources what's called a 32 amp tail for your UMC. And the UMC is basically the portable charger. It stands for Universal Mobile Connector. Now, the issue with that is it only draws through one phase, and your car is capable of pulling 32 amps single phase to charge itself. Now, if you do that, you basically are not allowed to do that on a 3-phase house. The reason is that a standard supply for a 3-phase house is 32 amps 3-phase. But if you pull 32 amps for your car, it means that the rest of your house on that phase can't draw anything, and that's an impossibility for other technical reasons. So if you have a 3-phase house, please don't use the 32 amp UMC tail. What you're much better off doing is using a 3-phase charger, such as Tesla's high power wall connector, the HPWC, costs $750 from Tesla's website. That will charge your car at 16 amps 3-phase, which is 11 kilowatts. The electrician can perfectly legally and without really worrying too much about not load balancing or anything, can install that quite easily. Now, if you're using solar, you can then just dial it down to 5 amps at 3-phase, which is the same as 15 amp single phase, which you might be doing anyway. So it still works okay on solar and is also compatible with your 3-phase house. If, on the other hand, you have a single phase house, they have a 63, except for rural areas, they have a 63 amp single phase supply. So drawing 32 from your charger will be okay. That's for single phase houses. So really, your choice, Alison, is if you think if 10 amps isn't really giving you enough, but you don't want to invest in a whole extra charger, just get an electrician to run the 15 amp circuit to a 15 amp GPO. The great thing is you can actually use that general purpose outlet for anything. You don't have to just use it for your car. You can plug anything into it. A 10 amp plug fits into a 15 amp socket perfectly legally, no problem at all.
Okay, so that brings me on, and that's fine, so I understand that. But then I heard about Zappy. And Zappy, bearing in mind that I'm the only one with an electric car right now, don't laugh when I say that, but we are down for the Cybertruck. Okay, I know, years and years. However, Patrick may get an electric car as well. And if that's the case, then a 15 amp is probably not going to cut it, which is why I was going to cover myself with a 32. But then that's not really going to cut it based on my solar. And I don't want to buy a Scenic recharger, because, and it's very, it does everything, like works out when to pull, when not. But somebody has mentioned zappy, because
Yep.
that
So,
would go on to my solar, and this is the one that I'm stuck on.
okay, the answer is really easy and really simple. Think about the zappy. The cost of the zappy itself is about $2,000. So, and your intention is effectively to dribble your solar into your car using the zappy as the tool to do that. And don't get me wrong, Zappy and a few other chargers are awesome at doing that. They do it very well. They will militantly only charge your car on the solar surplus. Of course, in winter, you might have some issues because there may not be a solar surplus or not much of a one, so you may still have to use the grid. The biggest downside to Zappy is that for all this free electricity that you want to put into your car, to install a Zappy, you need to effectively prepay $2,000 of that free electricity. So if you think about it, if you mainly use your car or drive your car to work, so in other words, you're not working from home or you're not retired, then the opportunity for your Zappy to dribble solar from your house into the car is limited to just a few hours on the weekend, which actually means that the chances of you recovering the solar, the cost of the Zappy in any reasonable time is precisely zero. So then the purchase of the Zappy doesn't become a financial decision. It's more an emotional decision that you enjoy the prospect of it accurately dribbling solar into your car and not giving it to the grid. But financially, it makes 0 sense, as do many purchases. It's whatever.
Can I just chip in here, please? In terms of the Zappy,
Yes, Willem.
It's fine if you drive a Tesla, right? Because a Tesla, you can schedule the charging to charge in off-peak tariff, right? But if you don't drive a Tesla, if you drive any one of the other electric vehicles, you don't have that opportunity to do that, right? Because those cars are not intelligent enough for you to be able to set the charging rate and the time of charging and stuff. So in that instance, it's better to have that intelligence built into the charger itself. And for that reason, I think that the Tesla charger is a dumb charger because it doesn't have any intelligence. It relies on the Tesla car to switch it on and off and set the amps and everything. So if you look at it from that point of view, then the Zappy can make sense.
Yes, but Willem, the key point I'm making is it only makes technological sense if you're interested in the technology. If you're interested in getting a return for those $2,000 that you've spent, if you drive your Tesla to work and leave it at work all day and only have your Tesla or any other EV for that matter at work, at home on the weekends, then, like I said, the chances of you recovering with a standard 5 kilowatt or 6.6 kilowatts of panels, a standard solar system in your standard house, the chances of you even breaking even with your additional investment in the Zappy is precisely zero. There is no chance.
I agree on that point. The point I'm making is that if you drive another car that is non-Tesla, you will not be able to make use of the time of use tariffs, which is much cheaper. So
yes, you can. You can because there are EVSEs that have timers. You can be crude and literally turn the power on and off. That's a bit of a brutal sort of method using a time clock. But there are EVSEs out there that can have timers that will actually do that don't cost the same as a Zappy. So that's not the case. It can be done.
I add my 2 cents here. So
yes, go Damon.
Harold's 100% right with the money side of things. When it comes to the emotional side of it, I've actually got a Zappy, a 3-phase Zappy with the 3-phase. I've got a 3-phase solar system, 10 kilowatt inverter, 15 kilowatts of panels. So how the car's at home a lot during the day, it gets charged a lot during the day straight off solar. The emotional part of it is I know my car is 100% charged straight off solar any day of the week. And when someone approaches me, your car is charged off coal. Well, I know 100% it is not. It's charged solely straight off my solar at home. And I can tell them without a doubt that's what it is. And they can't rebut that.
Yeah, and one big point that Damon just made is he's fortunate to have gotten approval to have 15 kilowatts of solar panels and a 10 kilowatt inverter. That is key because that completely changes the equation. So in fact, actually Damon is probably at risk of getting a return on his Zappy investment, because if you think about it, he's got an extra 5 kilowatts to do nothing but dump into his car. And since the average car does 15,000 kilometers of driving a year, he will easily he could run on solar, nothing but the sun, even in winter, if he's a bit careful.
So I generate enough power to actually power another 4 houses down the street. Every single day I'm generating, well, on a summer's good day, I generate 99.9 kilowatt hours of power.
You don't want to sell the government.
Okay, so I'll just, bearing that it might be worth it, then I'm going to tell you what we have on the house, and that might make a difference. So I'm at home really a lot during the day, and some days of the week totally in. So I have got mine set to come on at 9 a.m. and then I have my alarm for 3 p.m. and I switch it off just in case. I just do that because the sun might go down. I've got 12.45 kilowatts on the roof, 10 kilowatt inverter, and a 10 kilowatt backup battery. Is that right?
Awesome.
Okay, so
perfect.
Is that a Powerwall?
We spend nothing on electric at all. Now I've had the car since December, and I haven't spent 1 cent on charging my car. Right, it all comes from the solar, and I just, you know, whenever the sun's out, I mean, we're producing 8.5 and we're using 1.4, even with some washing machine on or whatever in the house, everything on. So I'm still feeding the grid anyway when I'm trickling it in at 10 off a 10 amp. And this is my thing. I'm trickling in at 10 amp and I'm feeding the grid for 0.08 cents, which is crazy when it's taken a long time, and I'm on one of the cars that you can go to 100%, not 80. So and I only am doing this probably once a week. Because it's just so long, though. It's just so long. And bearing in mind, Patrick might get a car, I thought, well, let me put in something that's faster, because I'm certainly still only going to be using solar because of the amount I've got coming into the house. So there's no way. And if I do click in if it's a really dull day in winter, and I've got it on at 9 a.m. or whatever, and my car comes on to charge at 9 a.m. It's only going to be 8 cents a kilowatt over anyway on the EV plan, right? But my thing is just the length of I see 11 hours to charge, 15 hours to charge, and I think, oh, my burn.
Because
Go Paul.
Because I saw this week that Tesla's going to have an update with the Powerwall.
Yeah.
That you'll be able to do all that, so you won't need a Zappy and that sort of stuff. So if you've got a Powerwall already,
I don't.
It's like, you don't.
I'm just,
I was just wondering, yeah.
So I'm wondering which solution is better to go quicker, because it's annoying me. I mean, it's not costing me anything. It's just annoying me that I put my car on when I come home at 1 o'clock, and I'll put it off at 4 or whatever, and it still has 11 hours to
Get the wall charger.
I think get a Zappy 3-phase charger.
No, get the wall charger, because that's what I've got. 3-phase. You set it on your phone because you're already doing it. It's cheaper, and you'll get your money back. And that's a Wi-Fi.
I'm sorry.
Connected to you.
I have buyer's regret in buying the wall charger, I
I
think
don't.
I should have instead bought a Zappy. It would have made my life much easier. It is not about the
Jared.
economics. It is just I could have set it and charging on the sun. I could have plugged it in
Yeah,
and
who
forget
cares?
about it. Now I have to battle with
Okay, hang on.
stuff
Let's
like
just let him
Charge
speak.
HQ and it doesn't
Let him
work
go.
properly.
No, I know. But I'm like, this whole, who cares if it's on coal anyway? Because it's WA coal and all that sort of stuff or whatever. But the reality of it all, the majority of the grid isn't coal anymore anyway.
I'm not
So
worried
Yeah,
about
actually,
coal, I
and
just
there's a
want
really
to
good
ongoing.
point.
know.
So this is a really important point. It actually doesn't matter how you charge your car. So
No.
it doesn't matter if you charge it hard at night, hard in the morning, hard in the daytime, because in essence, mostly, the solar panels you have, Alison, are going to produce the power they're going to produce. And if you don't use it, it's going to go to the grid anyway. So you are actually deflecting fossil fuels in any case because you are producing solar. So financially, if you didn't get a Zappy and just didn't care how you charge your car, all you'd be better or worse off is a few dollars of whether you were paying the grid 30 cents for a unit, whether you were absorbing the solar, meaning you didn't earn the 8 cents per unit. So notionally, it's kind of cost you 8 cents or 7 cents. And if you're on a different tariff, you get the differential. I think it's 2 cents during the morning or whatever up to lunchtime. And then 3 p.m. you get 7 cents or something like that, depending on what sort of tariff or what sort of solar plan you're on. So in essence, it really doesn't matter. The fact that you have solar panels and they are producing energy is, let's call it, saving the environment, for lack of a better term. So then we're just getting down to, are you interested in the minutiae of what your car's doing, or do you just say, if you had a 3-phase wall connector, you just dial it, do what you're doing, start charging at 9, stop charging at 3, up the power. You've got 8 kilowatt inverter or whatever it was, thereabouts, so, or 10. You could just dribble in 5 kilowatts. And look, to be honest, most cars do an average of 38 kilometers a day. You'll need about 6 or 7 kilowatt hours. You could jam that in a couple of hours, job done. And you can then still go full power if you say, I don't care, I've come back from a long road trip, I'm nearly empty, I want to be full in 4 hours time. You just go full power, be done with it. Sorry, Jared, you're talking.
I've just got a question for Alison. So Alison, what size solar system do you have?
So it's a 12.45 kilowatt with a 10 kilowatt inverter and a 10 kilowatt backup battery. So effectively, as soon as the sun goes down, we've always got 100% battery, and that lasts us up till midnight watching TV, aircons on, whatever. So we really don't pay any electricity at the moment.
So you pay power from 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock in the morning when the sun's up?
From midnight to 8 in the morning, it would be, I guess we don't have any battery left, but we're also sleeping, so.
What battery do you run?
Scenic.
Okay. Do you know how many kilowatts it stores?
10. Well, it says 11, but I think it's 10 in reality, but it says 11. I did look at the Tesla one that says 13, but it was a lot more expensive, and some people say it's not as reliable as the Scenic, which is a really good German one. I don't know.
Alison, I've got 3 Tesla Powerwalls in my home, and I've got a 15 kilowatt inverter, and I've got 41 panels on the roof. I've had no problems with the Powerwalls ever, and I've had power going out twice in my area, and the Powerwalls just kick in straight away. It's instantaneous, and reliability fantastic, and also the software is always upgrading and becoming better. As Paul just announced, they're about to upgrade it so you can charge from your Powerwall. It'll put into the car as a software new feature that's coming out. So I have no complaints with having.
You use the Tesla one for charging the car, not the Zappy.
Correct. I use a Tesla. I wouldn't waste me personally. I wouldn't waste the money on Zappy. To me, it's just a complete waste of money.
Alison,
it's a personal opinion.
On the midday saver tariff.
Sorry?
Are you on the midday saver tariff where you get?
I'm on the EV tariff, which means that From 9 till 3, I would only pay 8 cents. But I
Yeah.
never,
So okay. So we do that. Yeah. So it's not. I think because the EV tariff that runs overnight where it's slightly cheaper.
yeah, 11 cents
Yeah.
instead of 30.
It's more expensive.
So
More expensive from 3 till 9, but
Mhm.
I would never pay anything then
Yeah.
because I've got my
Yeah.
battery.
No, same. So what we do is I don't even. I do actually have an inverter that kind of works like a zappy. It's probably as Harold says, not really worth the extra money. But what I do is I just crank the cars at 32 amp between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. And you can just, as Harold said, there are plenty of EVSEs that you can get for not too much money that literally just have a simple timer. And if I was you, I would just go hard, 32 amp, 9 a.m. to 3 p.m. If it comes off your solar, great. If it comes off the grid, so what? It's only going to cost a few cents.
Yeah.
I personally prefer the convenience of just charging the car as quickly as possible when it's either coming off your solar, my solar, or solar that's on the grid. And I think that's probably the best bang for buck.
So what do you use? What do you have that you plug your car into?
So when I do, but it's not no. When we moved into this house, we got a solar inverter that also is a car charger. It's like a 2-in-1 thing, but I wouldn't actually recommend that. I've had a bit of a nightmare with it, to be honest. So I actually kind of regret not just fitting just a standard Tesla charger or even any EVSE with a timer on it, and just going hard between 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. and then not worrying about it.
Okay, so if I bought the Tesla wall one, because that's where we are stuck, isn't it?
Yeah.
To pay 2,000 for this Zappy or to pay 750 for the Tesla one, that's where we're stuck.
I would even say you could probably get a second-hand one for not too much money. I don't know how people go with second-hand EVSEs, but there must be. I mean, literally, if all you need is an EVSE that can do 30 amp, 32 amp.
It's not single. It's 16 amp 3-phase.
But do you?
They're all the same. They all do the same.
Okay, so either way,
you might as well just get the Tesla.
Isn't there another option for those that are tech savvy with the
but now just the Tesla one?
using solar credentials to turn on and off the inverter?
Yeah, so Shane Parker actually just in the chat, it's Charge HQ. Yeah. So Alison, that's another possibility.
Oh, I've got Charge HQ. Yeah, I've got that. That's a thing on my phone.
Yeah,
and it's currently free, I believe, but it will become a paid model naturally enough. But obviously,
I will not pay a cent for it, Harold. I will not pay a cent for it. I had numerous problems with it since I started using it.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so that's Phil M's experience.
So if I buy a Tesla one, I can go. It's 3-phase, right?
Yes. Yeah, there's a switch inside.
And single. It does both.
There's a switch inside that they'll do single or 3-phase.
So if I make that 3-phase, then it will pull from wherever we're not using the electricity in the house. That's how I gather it works, right?
Can't you set the Tesla to tell the Tesla to start charging at 9 and turn off at 3? Isn't there an option to do that?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
I turn it on at 9.
There you go.
I turn it on at 9, I schedule it, and then I say that I'm leaving the house at 3, which means it switches it off. But may I say, it's taken me forever on a 10 amp. It just annoys me that I'm looking at 11 hours more to charge, and I've maybe fed 5 kilowatt in. I've maybe started the day at 76, and I'm up at 80, and I'm going out for the day, and I've had it on charge.
And also, you might need to leave it home. You know, sometimes it's not always predictable when you're like, oh, suddenly I've just got to go somewhere. So
so I just don't want this 10 amp rubbish.
And it does help, because once in a while, I've maybe over the almost 4 years I've had the car and the wall charger. It's probably been only a couple of times where I've gone, you know what, I need a little bit more to top up. I'm not going to wait till midnight to charge. I plug in, and half an hour later, that's more than enough. But an hour you get 72 Ks. So it'd be
So in an hour, so let's say my car was sitting at 80%.
Yep.
Bearing in mind my one goes to the 100%, one of those ones. And
Yep.
in 1 hour, what would I see it sitting at? How many percent?
100%, 100%. So your car will basically do approximately 80 kilometers of added range per hour. And 80 kilometers is roughly the 20% between 80 and 100%. So,
Oh, wow.
So when your car is
you're
standing
smashing
still,
that.
it's charging at 80 kilometers of added range per hour.
Okay, so that's really fast for me. Rather than looking at 11 hours, it's 73% just does my head in. So I'm just trying, it's not that I can't manage it and I haven't paid 1 cent for any
No,
fuel.
but
That's great, but I still want to have the ability not to sit and see 10 hours left to charge.
yeah. And
Yeah, well, it'll be
you know.
if you turn up flat, like literally flat, your car does approximately 400 kilometers. It'll take a whole 5 hours to go from flat to entirely full, which would be very rare to happen. Usually you're just going to top up 10, 20%. And that'll take you an hour, not even.
Okay, so I'm kind of aiming towards this Tesla one now then are you, Patrick? The Tesla one sounds like the better option. The one other question is, if I thanks for this, guys, 'cause I'm sure this is everybody's query, right? When they first get their EV. If I go for the Tesla one, what is it you're telling me about dialing down or dialing up the amount that it's putting in the car?
That's in your car. In fact, you've got that on the app, on your app right now as we speak. So if you open your app, your Tesla app, and you go into charging. So I'm just going to spotlight myself temporarily. Okay. So here's the charging screen. Apologies for the fact that the green bars are just going right through. But notice how you see 16 amps. If I tap on that, I can actually change it to 15, 13. I can do that live, and that will all the way down to 5 amps if I want to. Now, this is on the presumption that it's a 3-phase setup, which is what it is. So that's what, in fact, I think this is actually my wife's car. It's actually charging now. So I've actually been changing the current as we speak. The reason why it's only drawing, now it's at 16 amps, right? And it's at 400 and I think it's at 28 Ks, something like that. Sorry, 423 kilometers. So it's actually charging now, and I can just reduce the current down. And as you can see, it'll actually change how long it's going to charge for.
I see that.
Saying,
so
35 minutes.
What's the maximum you can go up to?
16 in 3-phase, 16 amps, which is 11 kilowatts. So that's now at 11
kilowatts. And we'll get that with a Tesla, and we'll get that with the Zappy. We would get that with either or with the 32 amp plug.
Well, yes, no, the Zappy can, let me just unspotlight myself. The Zappy can go to what's called boost mode, which is, I don't care, just jam the juice in hard. And that doesn't have any regard to solar at all. And yes, the Zappy can do 11 kilowatts, no problem. As well, that's a boost mode. But the dribbling in mode is dependent upon what surplus there actually is.
Coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the Tesla one's better for me because I'm used to watching to see if I'm still on. The reason I didn't know that, if I show you mine, because I'm on a 10 amp system, can you see I don't have enough arrow? So I didn't
no, that's right.
That you could dial that because there's
but you can go less, Alison. So you'll notice there's a left arrow.
Yeah,
yes,
I can go less.
But not that you'd want it.
I just wondered how, when you were saying dial it up or dial it down, well, I can't dial anything up.
And bearing in mind that if you did dial it down, it remembers your location. It only applies to your house. So when you go elsewhere, your car will go to the full nameplate rate of the appliance that has been plugged into it. So the car is smart enough to know if it's at home, it behaves nicely and draws 10 amps 3-phase, 5 amps 3-phase, or the whole 16, or anywhere in between. But when you drive somewhere else, it'll go back to full rate.
Okay, because if I look at this, can you see it did diddly squat of nothing? It's only done like 6 kilowatts was added on my last charge.
Yes.
See that. So that's really annoying because it was on for a while, and it says car will start charging again at 9 a.m. So when I do have it scheduled to come on, but it's just annoying, you know.
6 kilowatt hours would have been added in 3 hours.
Yeah, it was about 3 hours today.
Yeah,
I came home at about 1 and I left it on till 4 because I was still producing 6 through the solar today.
And that's still 10% of the battery. So, you know, it's okay. But I agree. I mean, having 10 amp single phase charging is gonna be a bit
just
slow.
Annoying. It's just annoying. Even if I don't do that many. And then we need something for if Patrick gets an EV and then he's a mobile vet. So he's going to need quite a bit. That brings me back to, can the one Tesla wall charger, will it do both?
Yes. So the great thing is
it can't do two simultaneously.
So yeah, but it'll feed into both as long as I've got a long enough cable to come round.
Yeah. No, Alison, you don't need to because it comes with a 7.5 meter cable. So you could have it on one side of your garage and it will charge either car on either side of the garage because there's 7.3 meters, of cable. So you don't even have to worry too much about where it's placed. It will reach both cars. Now, the other thing you can do is if you really want to lash out, you can buy a second unit and have it as a slave to the first unit, which means if you actually plug 2 cars in at once, it will reduce the power to either car so that they both end up being fully charged at the same time, and it spreads the load so it doesn't overwhelm your house or your circuits, and it will intelligently shift power from one car to another. If you had 2 simultaneous ones, if you were really Hollywood and you said, I don't care, you know, you have one charger, hubby has the other charger, you can do that as well. If you have 2 units and they're daisy chained.
Right.
Did you want to say something?
Still cheaper than a zappy.
Cheaper than a zappy.
Yeah, but hang on 2 seconds. Go, Damon. Sorry, Alison. 2 seconds. Just go, Damon.
Do you want to mention something about flexing the cable unintentionally? Like if you unroll it to reach a second car, maybe roll it back up the same way. Don't flex the cable unnecessarily.
Oh yeah. A bit like a hose. Yeah.
Yes, because in the past, we're not sure if it's been fixed. Well, hopefully it has. Some of the older versions of the charger have had a bit of an issue where the one of the control wires is a little bit tightly wound inside the actual cable assembly, and that they have been known to fracture. But I trust that now has been resolved.
I routinely mistreat mine. I literally hook halfway down the cable with my foot and kick it into the corner, and then poke it into the wall. And it's been doing that for 4 years. And drive over it. I try not to drive over it, but I do not coil it up tidily. It literally gets kicked into the wall and then plugged and then hooked back up. It's been coping with that for 4 years.
What I normally do is maybe 5 minutes before I'm gonna get in the car, I put the climate control on, so it draws a little bit of power and it heats up your cable. And then that makes it easier to wrap up as well. So that's that helps in winter.
But you don't have to unwind the whole thing, do you? Because my car's right next to where it would be.
No, it's very easy, Alison. You should get that.
You can do it like that. You can just unroll one loop if you want, like there.
Yeah. That's what I would do. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so a sub box, Patrick's next question. Do we still need the sub box, or can that go on to the existing 3-phase? Bearing in mind the electrician is talking about the sub box.
Well, he may, because to connect it, you'll need you need a circuit breaker, which is 3 DIN positions. You might need what's called an RCBO, which means it's got residual current as well, or earth leakage. The Hager versions of that is a 4 DIN position. So depending on what your meter box has now, your circuit board has now, there may not be a 4 DIN position available. So then the easiest thing for the electrician to do is just give you a subboard, which he may fit or they may fit in your garage, perhaps, and just move a few circuits around. That's really, I just leave that to the electrician. The electrician will presumably provide the least cost solution according to what you already have at home. So I wouldn't worry about
do you
asking.
have a good electrician for the Tesla one? Does anybody have?
You need. You can use any standard electrician. There's nothing complex about any of these car chargers. They're just appliances. So it's no different to fitting anything else like a stove or an oven or a hot plate or anything. They all have rules. The electricians know the rules. You don't. There is a list, I think, that Tesla has on their website that shows so-called Tesla approved electricians. What that normally means is those electrical companies charge a rather lot for those installations, I guess, because they can, to be brutally honest. So just pick any electrician that you've ever heard of or that you might know of, or a local one. Get a few quotes. You'll notice that the prices will vary substantially, and it's not a complex thing to install.
Okay.
And also, Harold, there's the Wi-Fi that's the HPWC will connect to.
Yes, so presumably you'll have Wi-Fi at home, so the Tesla one will connect to Wi-Fi. What it means is that you'll probably be able to get some additional features down the track. So, for instance, people in the States who have power walls, which I know you don't, but in this case, for those that do, it basically will perform the equivalent of a zappy function. Now, that's not to say that perhaps in the future Tesla will have an API or their system will you'll be able to log with them your solar credentials for your inverter, perhaps, and that may become compatible. So there's always a chance that the system will get better with age. But in any case, with the system you have, you just do your 9 to 3, you do a power level that you're comfortable with, and just be done with it. You've saved yourself, $1,300 minimum, which means that's $1,300 of solar power that you don't have to harvest and dribble into your car. You can just let it go to the grid and earn the 8 cents or whatever it is that you're earning on it. And again, if you want 2 charges, you're not going to be able to really do 2 zappies, because you probably technically could, but then you've got another $2,000 on top. But later on when you go a bit Hollywood, you can have a his and hers high power wall connector. And then you don't have to worry about running over the cable if someone's plugged in and all that sort of jazz, depending on whether you're parked forwards or backwards or where your charger is.
And both chargers will be able to run off the same subboard. You won't need to wire them separately. So.
Oh, yes. Yep.
But the subboard would be single phase, yes?
No, that would
3
be
phase.
3
No,
phase.
3.
Yeah.
3. Yeah. Just think of a subboard as you've got your meter box where usually where your power meter is often, and all your circuit breakers. Just imagine a subboard as you just get a conduit going from your main board to another board. It could be literally right next door, or it could be at the opposite side of your house. And then they have a smaller little switchboard inside of that, or that's what it is. And that's where your charger will get its power from.
Yeah, and as Harold said before, you really probably only need to do that because of space in your main meter box. There's no actual requirement for a subboard. It's just if you don't have space in your meter box to put the electrical equipment in.
That's what we're told. Yeah, that was what we're told.
Yeah, so the Sparky will generally put that in
the garage. Yeah.
The only requirement is to have an isolator. That is law.
Yeah.
Just like an induction plate is law.
Yeah, just like in your kitchen for your induction cooktop. That's right. You got a little switch on the wall.
Yeah. But he spoke about the sub box being single phase.
Nope. No, it's that might have been for the Zappy, because the Zappy, there is a version of Zappy which is single phase, because
no, that
as a
was
matter
for
of fact,
the 2 amp or the 15 amp, not the Zappy.
Oh yes, no, 15 amp is different. That is single phase. That's correct, because a general purpose outlet. It's a 15 amp power point. All power points that you use in a house effectively are single phase. But if you hardwire this charger, that is definitely three phase. Well, it's capable of both actually, but in your case, you will give it three phase.
Yeah.
And that'll provide you with a maximum power capacity of 80 kilometers of added range per hour.
Yep. Okay. That's been brilliant tonight. So you've really answered, because it's so confusing to decide what you're putting in. So thank you for that, guys. Very clear.
No worries. And look, and for anyone else that's watching, look, it's not that we're hating on Zappy or anything like that. Like I said, to be very clear, if it's a financial decision, it's only ever going to recover its cost in very rare circumstances. To be honest, for the vast majority of people that have, unlike Damon or even unlike Alison, who have large solar systems, the vast majority of everyone else have a 5 kilowatt inverter and 6.6 kilowatts of panels. That's just the fact of life. So financial decision, no. If it's emotional or sticking it to the man sort of thing, as you know, Synergy doesn't get any surplus power or whatever, then by all means knock yourselves out, because after all, the cars we are getting are not base model cars. You know, a lot of things we buy are not for financial reasons necessarily. They're for other reasons.
That's right.
So again, we just don't want to, hate on companies like Zappy. They do have a place, but as long as we understand what that place is, then we're all good.
Call centers in India. That's where they should be called.
Stop it, Jared.
Oh, sorry.
Stop it. All right, moving right along. Has anyone else got any questions or comments? Oh, come on. It's early in the evening. We've got to get some more content before we usually get the champagne.
Can I go straight to the why is my bloody car still in Singapore?
Oh, play that little violin again.
Yeah. But yes. I'm not one of the anointed 85 or whatever it was that made it onto the first shoot.
But Ken, your car is going to arrive less than 3 weeks after the previous cars. And just imagine if your car has a few extra features that ours don't. And imagine how spewy we'll be then. Because every time they build one, they make it better.
How have you got your performance then?
We want to know how it's getting extra features in Singapore.
Do you got the performance already?
No,
I don't have it yet. No, it's on the.
No, but the news of the day is that the first batch left Singapore in the last 48 hours, and so they're on water. But mine, I just looked on the website. Mine is still parked on the wharf in Singapore. But at least they booked it onto a boat now.
And then, Ken, did you notice that it's been put back about a week today?
Yeah, 4th of May arrival.
Hi, Carmen.
Good evening, Jared. How are you?
Lovely to see you. Haven't seen you for a couple of weeks.
Have you been? I've been on, but I've been a little bit late, and you've gone.
Harold said that you were in prison for a couple of weeks.
I actually could be eventually.
No, Carmen. We'll leave that when we put pause. We'll and we'll preface that with allegedly.
I'll come and see you, Carmen. Don't worry, I'll bring the cake.
Thank you.
The fire.
You might need to do all the disclaimers.
Yes, Nigel.
There's a Tim Muck who said he's just got back and wants to introduce himself. And ask.
There you go, Tim.
Yes, Tim. Welcome.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. Sorry, there will be a few logistics with kids, but hopefully I'll be right for now. So I met Nigel, thanks Nigel, the other day, along with Rob at the EV meet or the charger at Guildford the other day, the evening. And my background is I'm an electronics engineer. I've been interested in electrical stuff, solar for quite a while. I've done my own DIY battery at home. have had a plug-in Outlander since 2016, and just this year gone, bought a BYD E6 taxi to have a full electric. I don't quite have the budget for the Teslas yet, but that's on the to-do list. Probably when the kids are a bit more out of our hands. But anyway, but related to the kids, what my wife and I are planning to do is a lap around Australia next year, and hoping, if possible, to do it EV, because I'd love to keep with that theme. And so we're just going through all the logistics of and the extra difficulties that towing with an EV is going to add to it, because with 2 little kids, we're not really going to be able to do accommodation everywhere, and sleeping in the car with 4 of us is probably going to be out of the question. So I've got 12 months to plan this, to see if we can do it in fully electric. And yeah, so we've chatted with a whole bunch of people to see if we can do some research stuff with Curtin Uni. They're interested. Chatted with the EV network guys, Synergy and Horizon, because the WA network is going to be completed perfectly timing for us leaving. So that's going to help, and that's the way we're planning on heading north first in about March next year, and then hopefully within 9 months get a lap around. I don't know if I can share my screen. I've got some am I able to share screen to
Yes, you are. Yes.
Okay, I'll see if I can do
What sort of car?
Well, I don't have a car yet, that's the thing. So I'll actually, hopefully you can see my screen now.
Yep.
Let's do.
So you've got a Wayfinder.
So the Wayfinder is our
caravan?
camper that we've currently got. Yep. The plan is to try and keep it, well, we've got to live in here and not end up divorced by the end of the trip. So it's the closest to a caravan without extending the height above the car if possible. So that's sort of why I went with the pop top camper, and trying to keep the weight down as much as possible, but have a chance of doing a little bit of the off-road sort of stuff. So we wanted a little bit more heavy duty than a Jayco or something like that.
What about a cub camper?
Well, we did start going down that path, and then the Opus. But the reason we ended up settling with the Wayfinder is basically because the bottom half of this is very caravan-y. I don't know if there's an inside view.
Yeah.
There we go. And the top's electric, so it's up literally within a couple of minutes. And we started playing around with the Opus, which had the air, the pneumatic system. And
So
sorry?
No, I was just thinking, so the weight, it's just a Model X electric would be able to tow it.
Yeah, and that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's big bucks, Paul. That's big bucks.
I know the bucks, but in terms of weight, if it's 1.8 ton.
Yeah, and that's basically what I was looking at. And the other thing is there's another 12 months to come out where we're sort of open. There's a few things that I'll quickly flip to my my vehicle potential list. So Polestar 3, Polestar 2 will do it just at the moment. Polestar 3 will be out hopefully at the beginning of next year. Volvo C40 just fits in there. Duty radar, a few things like that.
The problem is with the Polestar 3 is you need the truck with a tilt bit on it to take it places. Like when you go in the country, you have to take the truck with it. And
this is the thing in terms of trying to find the vehicle first is the biggest crux around this as to whether, as you said,
and the Cybertruck's 6.5 ton.
Yes, by the way, I just saw that.
Yeah, I'm going. Some of those towing isn't quite correct.
Yes, no, a lot of those have been various articles over the last 12 months, and they've changed and things like that. I basically the greens and the oranges. I've sort of, again, it's a very very much guess as to whether they're likely or not.
Because the Rivian, the Ram, the Ford Lightning won't be here.
Yeah.
Nor the Fisker.
Nor the Fisker.
Ever. In fact, anything American won't be here.
Yeah, the Cybertruck's 3 years away.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why they were kind of red.
The EV6, EV9. You might as well get a Model Y because that can do the same, and that's cheaper than the Kia.
Yeah.
The Cano, no. Chevy, no.
Yeah.
Sorry, Rain. But
no. But as
I'm just sort of going through your list, just going,
This was more
because the Volvo's under as well, and the Polestar 3 won't be here then either. So
Polestar 3, they said first quarter of next year.
Yeah.
But
if you're gonna spend that money, you might as well get like a Model Y or something.
I was going to say, I'm being a little cheeky here because some of the reasons why I think there might be a slim chance of this is because we're also going at the angle of working with Curtin to see if we can get an early import through one of the things, because obviously we feel there's a number of manufacturers that want to be the first to have done the towing trip sort of thing. And so the Model X, that's why I've got slightly green, because I don't think they don't need to sell their vehicles, whereas many of the others want to sort of have something they might be a bit interested. But yeah, to see if we could get something a little bit early, which is why the Polestar 3, if they're going to be delivering to the general public at the beginning of next year, is a bit more of a maybe. But all of
Tim,
these
I just unshared, sorry.
That's right.
Not to rain on your parade, but I think the notion that a car manufacturer would bring something early for the sake of something that Curtin University is doing is very remote. There's two chances, basically. If you even think about companies like Hyundai, where, I think it was the EV6 sold out in just a few minutes. I think they were bringing a whole 200 and something into Australia. It's just not going to happen. Don't forget the Rivian and all those cars, American ones, left-hand drive. So the big thing is to get it. I mean, you could import it, but it's just not going to happen, and it's super expensive. So look, if you've got 200K burning a hole in your pocket, then your best bet is buy Model X, which probably in 12 months is actually in danger of arriving within 12 months, and that has the towing capacity. I've towed John Edwards's 2.25 ton trailer. The one spoiler alert there is that basically worse than halved the range. So you're doing this, I think is this a 9-month trip? This was going to be a long trip, wasn't it, around Australia?
Because I realise there's going to be extended periods of slow charging and slow moving between charges.
Oh no, it won't be that. You can charge in a day, no problem. Well, in fact,
Depends where you are.
Several of us in the room. So I think Pete's arrived. So Pete and I did Model Ys simultaneously back in August and September last year. Around Australia, using mostly AC charging, just 3-phase, and that was no problem. The biggest gap we did was 400 kilometres between Fitzroy Crossing and Broome. Now, no EV that exists today will do that with the trailer that you've got.
Absolutely.
So you would have to go from Broome to Derby to Fitzroy Crossing. The good news is, as you alluded to earlier, the WA EV network is coming. It will be all but complete in 12 months' time, in less than 12 months' time. Except for the Eucla, Madura Pass, Kaiguna and Balladonia sites, which will be a few months later.
That's good, because I'm picking that up on the end of my trip, so they should be done.
I reckon you've got to watch Fitzroy Crossing, because that bridge isn't going to be fixed for 12 months. I reckon it might be better to go to Nullarbor first.
Well, no, we've chatted about that as well. There should be a temporary crossing in the next sort of 6 months or less solution, particularly when it's drier. There's sort of like a bit of a drier slipway sort of thing, and they call it a bit lower down. And they're also looking at ferries, which at the moment is only a single vehicle, but they're inquiring about how they're going to get trailers, because there's going to be plenty of people that are going to struggle to do the long way around with a caravan and a petrol or diesel anyway. But yes, no, that's one that's on my concern list.
Tim,
Yeah.
Can I suggest also that you factor in access to superchargers on your list?
Mm-hmm.
That'll make it much easier on the eastern states and through to South Australia currently, being able to access to Tesla supercharger as they're relatively well maintained and relatively available, as opposed to whatever else is about.
Yeah, yeah. And I gather there's the news of Tesla opening some of those up, but yeah, whether
there are 5 currently in New South Wales that are open.
Okay.
So they will open the others, or most of the others, eventually. That is their stated goal, but it's not necessarily the case. Look, I think for this project, I think your biggest enemy is time. So to you, it may seem that 12 months is a long time, but if you approached any of these EV manufacturers, or except for the case of Tesla, it's all the dealers, and you try and procure any of these cars, they're going to give you a long wait. And you won't be able to go on a road trip if you don't have a vehicle. And I dare say that almost all the other vehicles that you're looking at are either not going to come for many years, such as the US ones, or some of the Asian ones, you're going to find it super hard to get a hold of them. And in any case, they're not going to be any cheaper than, say, a Model Y, which could do the job. Bearing in mind, I did notice that the tear of your caravan was 1480. The Model Y can tow 1600. So if you're careful with what you put in your caravan, I presume the tear is the tear without liquids, like without, if there's a water tank or whatever.
I believe. No, I think the tear is including that. I'll have to double check. I think tear is what it comes out of as standard of the factory, assuming that it's wet, I believe. I can double check.
Right. So in other words, you've got to just got to be mindful of how much you can only load another 120 kilos to be legal to tow by, say, a Model Y.
Yeah.
A Model Y. Now, one thing that is likely to happen is you'll be able to procure a Model Y in a long range format. So currently, the Model Y comes in 2 forms. For roughly $74,000 or $5,000, you can get the standard range. So I'm just bringing up the Model Y at the moment. So if we have a look, Model Y, custom order, and it comes in the standard range, and that will actually cost you did that just go up? $76,000. Now that car has a practical range of about 400 kilometers real world, depending. If you're towing, you'd have to do experiments. It could be as little as half that, to be honest.
That's sort of roughly the research I've got is, and that's the other thing that I'm planning on doing and chatted about with Rob and Nigel, and have been in chats with.
Happy to watch something.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I think someone's
someone
that's
in
all right.
the audio. That's right. So I've added what's his name? Josh from Electro Aero and Electro Nautique. He and I are looking at extending the roof with some aerodynamic changes to slipstream, particularly between the towing vehicle and the trailer. Some stretch canvas or something like that to reduce the drag, and tailoring off at the end, because I mean it's a fairly flat van, but the square end doesn't really help.
The question is the Model Y performance, because it's heavier and has more torque. Is it rated for higher towing, or is there no difference?
No difference.
Or 1.8.
And the Polestar 3 starts from like 132,000. As well.
Ouch.
So if you're going to spend that money, then maybe a second-hand Model X would be a better option for you.
Yeah,
because it'll be less than that, and you'll be able to tow, and you'll have the supercharged network. And there'll probably be free supercharging with one of those as well. Sorry, go.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just going to say, and those tilt tray trucks are around about 180,000 that you have to pay on top with the Polestar, so they're pretty expensive.
So
Tim, you've got a lot of. Go, Steve.
Yeah, Tim, I'm facing similar questions to you. I've bought a second-hand cruise liner, Avan cruise liner, because its ATM is 1450,
Mhm.
and I'm buying a Model Y Performance because I want the extra range, as Harold was just talking about, so I can actually pull the cruise liner safely, well, comfortably.
Yeah.
With my Model 3 long range, I was able to pull the cruise liner from Margaret River to Safety Bay on the one hop, traveling slowly. I'll caveat that, but I was able to travel the 240, 250 kilometers
Yeah.
in the one hop. So
Okay,
can be
very
done.
good to know. Yeah. And,
But James has got his
basically,
hand up. Sorry, 2 seconds. James has his hand up patiently. So go, James.
That you might want to look at, it's quite a cheap thing, is a GVM upgrade. Often there has to be no upgrades to your car, no physical upgrades to your car. It is just an assessment by an engineer, and they can give you a certificate to tow a larger. The problem you'll get is, because you'll be the first person getting this one done, it's quite expensive. You know, if you're going for a Land Cruiser, they've done 100 of them, they've got a checkbox is done. So you'll find the first time they do it for a new vehicle, it may be expensive, but it might just give you the extra 150, 200 kilograms to get everything loaded in. And the second thing is, I've got a Model Y long range with a tow ball. So if you want to tow anything for any distance, any time, I'm happy to do some testing for you.
That would be amazing, because that's the next plan, is to if there's potential vehicles, start getting some real world confidence before going. As everyone mentioned, it's not something we're going to do on the first day without knowing what it's capable of.
GVM upgrades online. There's a couple of good companies in Perth that do it. They've probably never done a Tesla.
Yeah.
They might give you like a $2,000-3,000 price to do the initial assessment. But if we get the Tesla Owners Club and say, hey, look, I've got 10 people that might want to do this as well, that brings the price down, because obviously it gets cheaper.
Shared. Yeah, no, that's a very good thought. Thank you. I hadn't actually run that one through. I went on, this is the specs. They must have put it at the top cap, but yeah.
What do you think, Carmen?
Yes, I agree.
You get the upgrade?
And actually, that's a really good point, James, because look, even if you had to fit a slightly modified rear suspension components, possibly, or as James is alluding to, it may just be an engineer's report that says that this componentry is up to that task, particularly on a well proportioned trailer that's well balanced. Then that's entirely possible. And again, it gets your costs down. So at the moment, a standard Model Y is let's call it $77,000. And that would basically do the job most of the way around Australia, if not all the way, to be perfectly honest. It might be between Derby and Broome, you might have to slow down a little bit, just take it a little bit easy. You know, do 80 Ks instead of 90 Ks an hour or whatever, but which is completely fine. But the cost benefit, you know, as I think it was Paul that said, that the Polestar 3 is starting at $130,000. I mean, you know,
absolutely. And a lot of that was, sort of not pie in the sky, but shooting high before falling to a backup option, was to see, if there was a possibility of any of the manufacturers interested in being the first to do the
don't even let yourself fantasize about that for a moment. Trust me, it's just not going to happen. No matter what, it's just not going. They are singularly disinterested, and don't forget, for them, you know, you're doing a slow trip, you're doing a 9-month trip. If you promise to do this in 2 weeks, they might get half a sniff and maybe could be bothered even replying to your calls. But if it's a slow trip and a slow burn, they don't get the bang for their bucks. So I dispel that right now, which is healthy to do. Otherwise, you might come back on to Ask Us Anything in 9 months' time and go, well, that went nowhere because you know, it was just crickets. To be honest.
No, but looking at all the options, including I think the GVM update is a path that I hadn't really thought of. The other one is I'm chatting next week with Stuart McBain, who did the charge around Australia, because some of the things I've mapped out are 260, I think, is the biggest gap of kilometers between charging options. And so if we drop
Where,
down
where
to,
was that? Where did you map that out to? Which interval was that? Do you remember?
Derby to Fitzroy Crossing.
Yes, that's right.
Kununurra to Timber Creek is 230. And there's plenty of others pretty close to 200. So we want to do 200 comfortably. Yeah. And then it was what backup options are. We'd rather not, if possible, not have to take a diesel generator, but if there's this solar panel one, even better, as a camp on the side of the road for a day and then carry on.
Yeah, I mean, look, the Charge Around Australia project, it started as an idea, and I think the initial idea was to demonstrate the usefulness of organically printed solar panels on Mylar film. And their initial project was to demonstrate that you could drive a car all the way around Australia, literally using nothing but the solar panels you carried in the boot of the car. Let's just say if you go to their website now, there used to be, as the trip started, there used to be a tally of how many kilometers were driven on solar power. That tally, I think, got to 400 kilometers. I could be wrong. It might be half that or of that order.
Yeah.
And never increased once they realized that it's just
slow going.
It's so slow. It's just pointless. It doesn't prove anything. If anything, anything it does is the contrary. It sort of demonstrates that just don't bother doing it.
Yeah.
It's just useless. So then they changed it. It was also an education campaign of the usefulness of solar and EVs, but they very quietly ditched this notion of bringing panels with you as a viable means of road tripping. It just doesn't happen that way.
Yeah, my thought was it might fill the massive gap if you had to get to 250 and you could only do 200 at 3 spots. It might be better than carrying the diesel generator for 3 times as well.
Yeah, just go slow. Just go slow. The biggest gap that I drove in 2018 in a Model X, which was not one of the modern ones, it was an older one with lesser capacity. Its nameplate was about 380 kilometers. I drove 471 kilometers non-stop.
Right.
But I did it slowly.
By backing off, yeah. Okay.
I suppose it's the thing of what's the budget for the car?
I don't have a budget, but yeah, sort of like I didn't think I'd get away with much less than the 100,000.
Yeah. Then, well, maybe later next year we'll get the long range on a Y, and that'll be within that as well. And that's better than the performance. You get more distance.
Well, the performance is $108,000.
Yeah, exactly.
Now you could take that as worst case. So the long range will be at least $10,000 less than that, at least.
Yeah, exactly.
In fact, probably more like 15 or so.
Yep.
So you could say that's your upper bounds.
Yeah.
Of the price.
And then you do the upgrade that Jones suggested.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you're good.
I mean, realistically, you've got that 200,000 in the pocket that Harold said you had. Just get on a plane and fly around Australia. It's much cheaper and less headaches, and you won't get divorced at the end of it.
I was going to say the electric Aero doesn't have the range to do that either. But
you should have a good talk to Pete Petrosky about sleeping in the car, because if you take your wife, she might be a bit unhappy. So you might find that a couple of good nights in the car might be okay.
Yeah.
And Pete's done 17 nights, or except for the Gold Coast, which we won't talk about with the meter maids, but he did 16.
It was 16, Jared.
16 nights.
16, including Gold Coast.
16, well, you stayed another week in the Gold Coast, but anyway, it was 16 nights back to back. And I mean, in the car, 462 cans of aerosol spray on him, but he did it. It was good.
It was actually very comfortable, and at Fitzroy Crossing, I had the option. So Harold said to me, he said, "Why don't you've been sleeping in the car? Why don't you treat yourself and go into the hotel?" And I was tempted. I thought, "Oh yeah, I might." So I went and asked them what the other options were apart from the caravan park. And they said, oh, you can take one of our eco tents. And I said, oh, yeah, that sounds all right. How much is that? And they said, oh, about $320 a night. I thought, oh, okay, that's not cheap. I said, so what do you get with an eco tent? He said, literally just the tent on some stilts. And I said, yeah, basically. And I said, oh, so there's no security? And, oh, no, it's a tent. Right, okay. There's obviously no air conditioning. No, well, it's just a tent. I thought, okay, so on one hand, I've got $320, no air conditioning, no security. On the other hand, I can sleep in the car for $50 a night with 9 cameras around me and with temperature control and air conditioning throughout the whole night. So it's a bit of a no-brainer.
No-brainer.
Yeah. A little bit different with 2 kids and a wife, but yeah. I guess.
Absolutely. That said, I did have a very useful, high utilization electric scooter around with me. And I had the spare wheel and I had the charger and I had all the bags and everything, all the clothes in the back. So, but it was still, quite comfortable. But yes, you're right. A wife and 2 kids would probably be a deal breaker there. Yeah.
And I guess the whole point, one is to give the kids the lap of Australia, which I got when I was a child. And so we want that kind of experience. It's not just to drive to prove that it can be done. We want to spend time at places. So I kind of figured that with some of if it was on a slow charger somewhere in the middle of the Kimberley, because we weren't just doing visits of supercharging or fast chargers, having a caravan camper to spend some time in, you pay to go out there and do nothing in the middle of the bush. If you're charging during that time, then they're great. And the thought was to have a little electric bike or something like that. If we had to camp somewhere, take the vehicle somewhere else to charge, ride the e-bike back, spend a couple of days, and then ride back and pick up the vehicle somewhere else. That's doable as well.
Absolutely. And that's what a scooter is perfect for. But an electric bike, either or. But that's perfect for that.
Yeah. So
alrighty, that's
give me lots
very
of ideas
interesting
to keep doing. Thank you.
Yeah, good luck with that, Tim. Like I said, I think it'll get down to the tin tacks of availability, which is really important, and cost.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. And I think availability is going to be your biggest constraint, to be perfectly honest.
We highlighted that early on. That's why it was the suitable vehicle and what would be available early enough and all that kind of stuff. But I know 12 months isn't a long time to arrange it. So the extra idea of the Model Y, because my neighbour's got a Model Y, I'm familiar with a number of others, driven a 3 and an X, and the neighbour a couple of doors up's got an X as well. We thought the X was off because of budget, but the Model Y with a GMV upgrade, I think, has given it a new lease of ideas. Yeah, thank you.
Jay.
Cool, man.
Yes.
You haven't got just a messy garage after all. Good on you, mate.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Has anyone else got any other questions or comments, perhaps, to kick us along?
I'm pretty excited with Giga Berlin kicking over the 5,000 cars per week.
Absolutely.
Texas to catch up. That'd be really cool.
Well, Giga Berlin now is officially considered a mass volume car factory, crossing the 250,000 cars per annum barrier.
What do you think?
And don't forget. Sorry, say that again, Jared.
I just wonder what Richard Chapman thinks of the Giga Berlin. He's a very strong advocate.
I think it's great, mate. I'm so pleased. It made my week.
I mean, the good thing is Giga Berlin, that is going to be a quarter of its planned production rate, because Tesla has put in plans just the last couple of weeks indicating that using the same building envelope, they are going to go from 500,000 nameplate to 1 million. So this 250,000 is only a quarter of what Tesla is aiming for in the next couple of years.
Good, exciting.
Absolutely.
Really exciting is Nigel. Nigel's looking very exciting tonight. With his matching shirt with his backdrop and the same look on the face of the man behind him. Good to see you, Nigel. Missed you.
Yeah, I'm not very good today. I'm in a lot of pain.
Oh. Actually, Nigel looks like a gentleman in another YouTube channel, which I'm going to try and find.
Big night at the casino, Nigel. In pain.
Sorry, I'm struggling to find it. I will in a sec, but oh yeah, here we go. It's the gentleman that does Curious Droid. So it's this channel here, and that's not quite the same shirt, but if I do recall correctly, I'm going to find
head to the distribution.
Someone's copying our grumpy old man with the suit.
He's got a good haircut.
Well, he has got a good haircut.
Bit like yours, Harold.
Here we go. This is him, not quite in the same shirt, but you know, not the guy on the left. It's the guy on the right.
The guy on the left, is that the guy who owns? He's the managing director of Qantas. Yeah, looks very much like him.
Yes, that's Mr. Joyce's stepfather, Fred Hoyle.
Oh, good.
But yes, not quite the same shirt there, Nigel, but pretty close. Similar haircut. Very good haircut, actually. Anyway.
He's skinnier than me.
So, I've got something to say, Harold.
Go on, Jared.
Had a lot of phone calls. Had a lot of phone calls during the week, and a lot of support about my injury that I had. That Pete Pascrossi liked to tell people last week, and I just wanted to know that it's actually on the mend. The doctors are saying that I will get full use of my hand come back, but it's just going to take a little while. So I just want you guys to know I really appreciate all the support that you guys have been giving me, and I just can't stop getting those emails coming in. It's just great. It's just, I feel the love.
At least you've got one good finger, Jared. You've got one left. This
is the most important finger that I use for a lot of things, and it's important to have that finger, because without this finger, I wouldn't be able to communicate with people and let them know how I'm feeling. So I appreciate it. Really, it's good. It's good to get that support. So it will be all better by next week, guaranteed. So thanks, Pete. Thanks for airing that special last week.
Anytime, Jared.
Emails, it's just amazing. Yeah. So
we're here to support you, Jared. We really are.
You guys are just like family to me. I'm just very emotional. So,
which email do you use, Jared?
I've used mainly my spankmybottom.com. It's my other private email, but I was running out of a German website, so I've been slowed down a little bit because the gig of Berlin, because now they're pushing all the cars out. I think the emails are slowing down. So yeah, but no, it's great. It's really unbelievably good support. So thank you.
We're here to support you, Jared, even if we don't mean it. We will pay lip service to that support. Absolutely.
I have got a GoFundMe page, and I'm up to $3.40. So I appreciate you guys all chipping in hard. It's been.
I'll give you two cents.
You can't.
We'll get you to at least enough to get you to 69 and 42 cents.
I'll put in 86. I'll put in 86.9 cents, so that will get you to $4.20.69. That should be about enough.
You guys are amazing, I tell you. I mean, the surgeon said that he'd be able to get it all going back again for me, which is great. So I'm really, because it was a pretty bad injury, as you know, Pete. So I mean, you know.
Oh yeah, it was very serious. Yeah.
And Rob Dean, I spoke to Rob Dean tonight, and he was concerned about my injury. So I told him clearly I'm fine. So,
well,
so lucky. You're so lucky that you're going so slow. Imagine what would happen if you actually went fast.
Exactly. You're right, James. I was taking that track slowly and carefully because there's a lot of dangerous drivers. I mean, there was a guy in that. What was it, Kona or what was it? I think it was a Nissan Leaf, the new one, the Nissan Branch. with the dual Ryobi batteries, because he nearly went off the track about 4 times, did he, Paul?
Yeah, the Volvo.
He
Yeah,
was on a deck.
he was collecting cones.
He was collecting cones, tree trunks. He mowed the lawn both sides. So yeah, I was
To
taking
get that
it.
car above walking pace.
Yeah, I just, I like to. I had my wife with me, and when you got your wife with you, they get a bit funny if they see you doing 200 down the straight. So I just was playing it carefully. I wasn't planning on driving. Just like, go out there and have a go. Like, okay. So I was put on the spot. So anyway, that's
You took one for the team, Jared, and
exactly. I was there to support people, and did Pete? I didn't see Pete run. I had to leave, but did you go to Pete this time? You did, didn't you?
No, I just came in for 15 minutes to grab a flag and say hello, and then I had to go. Yeah, I had to.
You didn't want to.
well, tell us what you had to do, Pete.
yeah.
I think that's actually quite interesting.
Yeah,
to be
someone
perfectly
said that
honest.
you were doing some work for Synergy or something, or you're, I don't know, doing some.
No, it was just a presentation at the Convention and Exhibition Centre. The topic was the EV revolution, what you need to know.
Wow.
No, yeah.
Did you draw pictures or just shake hands or?
Just with crayons.
Just with crayons? Oh, that's good. Oh, good.
I'll go on, Pete. Tell us how it went and what the subjects were, like how the general discussion went.
No, it was really good. There was Christina Morrissey was the MC, and she had some good questions. So a couple of questions from the audience. One was about security. So the concern was that if you have a connected car, you're bringing in a potential gateway for hackers into your house. And I didn't give that question too much credit because, how's that any different from having a mobile phone in your home, or having a fax machine at home, or having a telephone line at home, or an internet connection at home, or any Internet of Things, or a connected fridge? And I explained to them that there is actually a bounty, a Model 3 bounty, so anyone that can hack into Model 3 will get to keep it. But they did have a hackathon actually just about a week after that presentation and after I made that observation. And someone managed to hack into a Tesla and won the $100,000 prize. So I've got to my words a little bit, but yeah.
No, Pete, actually, just sorry to interrupt. Actually, it's a really good point, because Tesla are one of the few companies that are willing to openly challenge any comers to please do your best to hack into our cars, because every time someone is successful, of course, they can then close that loophole, rather than other car manufacturers just pretending that it's not a threat and not actually engaging the white hat hackers. So it's actually great news. Every time you hear it, you know that's one thing, that's one vulnerability that's going to get closed, and the cars are ever more secure.
That's actually a brilliant point. That's absolutely, which is, exactly. Hats off to Tesla, white or black hats, doesn't matter, but hats off. But that's brilliant. And they've got this ongoing bounty that's still out there, and they participate in all these hackathons, which is, really commendable. I've never heard of any other car company participating in a hackathon. So
no. Oh, there was one this week, Pete. It was Latitude Finance. They had a competition going as well. Yuri in Russia won. He won it. I'm not sure how much he won, but he did quite well on it, apparently.
I heard Optus and Medibank went into
runners up.
Runners up. Yeah, that cost a bit more money than Latitude, I think. So there you go.
Alrighty, so what else was there at this conference, Pete?
There was a Kia EV6 stand. There was a lot of space because the organisers underestimated the demand a little bit, so there wasn't that many people at the show. But it was their first inaugural event, so they're used to doing private functions where they know exactly who's coming, and yeah, those are quite successful from what I hear. But yeah, this was their first public one. But yeah, and and there was a few other questions around, just the usual ones. How long does it take to charge, and what's the range, and all the ones that we usually hear about.
So how long does it take to charge, Pete?
Well, it takes me a whole lot of 3 seconds.
Yeah.
Because by the time
3
you
seconds
pull the wall and you press the button to open the flap and you stick it in and you wait the 2 seconds for the little T logo to start flashing green, it takes about 3 seconds.
There you go.
What do you
Well,
wait
then you
for
forgot the other
flash green for, Pete? Just shove it in and walk off.
Exactly.
That's what she said.
It's a Tesla. It's reliable.
Yeah, no, true.
Sorry.
Mind you, it's just that habit that I've got from driving around Australia with Harold, where you just check because you don't want to be off having lunch and you come back from lunch an hour later and realise that
100%.
You apply the Russian adage, which is trust but verify.
Correct.
Yeah.
Speaking of trusting and verifying, I can, Alison, verify that because I've got a good charger, my wife's car has finished charging. So there you go, 104 kilometres added. And that was in the last couple of hours, not even.
And that's the Tesla one, yeah?
Yes. Oh, well, no, it's not actually, to be honest, it's not. But it's the same power level. So it's 11 kilowatts. So
yeah, Alison, also
effectively the same thing.
another point that I don't think was come up, but compared to the Zappy, which is a great charger, but with the Tesla one, you have the button to just open up the flap, and more importantly, to press it again to take it out. Because I think that's something that's a really underestimated feature, because with the Zappy, you would have to then go into your car and press the unlock, or you have to take out your phone, open it up, and then unlock it again. So it's much more convenient. I think this is really the way to go.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I don't do that many kilometers, so I think I just want it to charge quicker. I'm just over the 10 amp.
Yeah,
So-
but you also don't want to. You don't want to then to have a sort of an inconvenience of having to go through a hoop to unplug it when you want to go want to leave. I think that is underestimated how nice it is.
Yeah,
Very good point.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Christian.
Very good point, Christian. That's a very good point. That's one thing that Tesla does so well, is in that ecosystem, it's just convenience is the key. That's what it's all about. It shouldn't be a task. It should just be a pleasure to be able to use your car and charge it for that matter. That's a great point.
Yeah, because I normally, when I'm going to plug mine in, I'm unwrapping it and I'm pressing the button, so the flap already flicks up, and I just shove it in and then go inside. So I've been doing that without thinking. So that was a good point by Christian, actually.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I think that is something that others say like they're okay with it, but honestly, on a day-to-day, and we plug in a lot because we also like to harvest from solar and just any excess to basically put it in the car when we're home. So we have it more plugged in than you would necessarily have to do it, essentially. But then if I had to press or go through all these hoops, it's crazy. Some people have then built themselves a little contraption with the Raspberry Pi and a button to sort of simulate that. It just gets very complicated. For someone like you who just wants ease of use, this is really the way to go.
No, thank you for that. Yeah, I think I've made that decision tonight. So thank you.
Fantastic. Now, Alison, did you have any luck getting, I think it was, you wanted the dark rims for your car. Have you made any progress on that since last we saw you online?
there's my wheels of my car that you see there. So it's the 19-inch alloys. The black ones that clip on to those 19-inch alloys are actually 18-inch. I don't know why, but the ones you can buy are 18-inch. The 19-inch ones are Model Y ones, but then they don't match my alloys, so you're going to see my alloys through them. But since this picture, I've got the red calipers on, and I'm actually in love with the silver. The silver with the red alloys looks, calipers looks really cool.
So you've basically redefined the problem out of existence by putting on the red calipers.
I put on the red calipers and I pretend that I'm a performance. So when I pass you, Harold, and you've got your performance, you won't know if I'm a performance or not.
This is true. But what you will know is when you pass me, I will be waving, albeit on a short hand, but that's okay. It doesn't mean I'm not putting my whole effort into it. It's just the way it is.
Just keep your fingers
crossed. No, it's cool. I do have one more question. What time will people...
But, Alison, you've taken on...
So I think, Pete, you had a little bit of a delay there. So go,
Yeah.
Alison, and then Pete next. Go, Alison.
Okay, what time do you think everybody will be at Two Rocks until on Sunday? I wanted to go up, but I might not make it for 11.
Oh, that's fine, because we don't officially. It starts at 11. In fact, that's when the tavern opens. But there'll be people there beyond 1 o'clock, for example. So it's completely casual. It's literally you turn up, you stay for a couple of hours, you stay for a couple of minutes, say hello, whatever. It's completely casual. So if you are perhaps aiming at getting there more like 12 o'clock, no problemo. 12:30, no problemo. You know, there will be a few people there probably beyond 1 o'clock. Absolutely. So just depends.
Thank you.
I know where it is, yeah.
I'll see you there, Jared.
Are you going to be there? They give you a release. You've got you out for the day?
I've got a special permit.
Oh,
I'm allowed out.
I haven't seen you for ages. I'm pretty worried about you. So.
Very good. And you know, that's the whole purpose of these casual meetups. It's why we have them every month, but we alternate between a Wednesday evening and a Sunday lunchtime, basically, because different people have different lifestyles, different work patterns, different work release, day release, you know, permit issues, visas, all that sort of thing. And that's what we try and cater for everyone, but it's totally casual. You don't need to book, although I do need to remember to ring them to just say, hey, we're coming, but we'll get round to that later.
Yeah, that's
Alison, is your husband going to be there? He's a vet, is he?
Yeah, he's a vet, and that's why I can't be there for 11. Where he doesn't work on a Sunday, but he's got a pets in the park at Swanbourne this Sunday morning. So he's actually got a little stand up for his mobile vet and his Archangel vet. So unfortunately, what time's that until?
Well, it's supposed to be 9 till 12, but I'm trying.
It's supposed to be 9 till 12, but he'll try and maybe get away about 11:30 or something. So we could make it up there for about 12:15, yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Well,
That'll be fine. No, we look
Did you want
look
to
forward to
ask
seeing your car.
What was that then?
You just want to see the
I
red
said, why were you
calipers.
asking? Why were you asking? Did you want to ask Alison's husband, the vet, about your thumb?
Yes. No, not about my thumb. I see a horse vet is sorting that out.
No, well, Jared, I'm sure he's got some green dream that'll put you off to sleep well and truly nicely.
He definitely has green dream. He definitely has green dream.
Got a question about my dog.
Well, so no, before you do that, Jared, we've got Richard's got his hand patiently up, or possibly impatiently. So, Richard, you've got the floor for a moment.
Which Richard?
Yeah, thanks, Harold. I've just come back from Perth across the Nullarbor. It was a great trip, but I managed to pick up a small stone chip in the windscreen and a crack about a centimetre either side. Had a chat to a couple of windscreen people, and they've said no,
It won't be a repairable.
No, the insurance is going to try to repair it, but if it goes further, they will just replace the windscreen. But what they did as a throw in is they said, we can replace your windscreen wipers for $125. And I thought, oh, okay, I'll do that. Scratched my head for a bit and thought, well, is that the right price? Can you get them aftermarket for a better price? What would people recommend in that regard?
Richard, I can say that I've replaced my windscreen wipers after about 3.5 years just recently. And first I replaced them about 6 months ago with aftermarket ones. And then I threw them out and just put the genuine ones back on. And the genuine Tesla ones are much, much better. They came out to my house and they did it here. And I can't remember now how much I paid, but it was very competitive. I remember at the time having a look, and yeah, it was worthwhile to do it. Not all things are worthwhile for Tesla to do, but the windscreen wipers definitely were.
Okay, good.
I can't remember. I'm sorry. I'll try and see if I can look through my service history to see if I can find it.
Okay, well, that's actually a good tip because I've actually got the car booked in for a service for a clicking noise when I do turn the wheels very hard left or right, particularly when I'm reversing, it makes a clicking noise. So I put it in for service and it appears to be a known problem. But what I might do is add windscreen changeover into that. The car's done.
Well, so 2 seconds, Richard. Just sorry, apologies. 2 seconds. I'm really sorry, Alison. I've just got to mute you. For some reason, there's some noise coming through your microphone. I don't know what it is, but it's kind of just interfering with people talking. But when you do want to talk, please do unmute yourself. Really sorry. I just got to. Okay, sorry. Go, Richard. Sorry, just finish that because we couldn't hear you very well.
Yes. Sorry. That's I can just put it in for service and add that to the list. I think the recommendation is you change them every 12 months. It's probably a bit of overkill, but given I've done 34,000 K in that year, it's probably about time I got that done. So I'll skip it through the insurance.
I'm hoping Richard Chapman isn't listening because the awesome Model X that he bought from me that I had put about 220,000 kilometers on, I have to confess that I never changed the wipers, not once.
And they're still not changed.
Once in 5.5 years or 5 3/4 years.
The filter isn't changed.
But Harold, that's because you never used the wipers.
Oh, you did.
Well, that's minor detail, Pete. You know, don't let the truth get in the way of a good story. Come on. I mean, look, I used them several times.
Actually, I used one. Oh, sorry.
What about
did you, Richard?
the filter?
Did you really?
Yeah, first time.
You know, the great thing about your coloured car, Richard, is that when it gets dirty, it just goes from being shiny to dull. It doesn't really change colour.
The red of the S is actually quite similar. It can be really dirty and it still looks all right. So yeah, we scored well on both cars there. Thanks,
Very
mate.
good. Sorry, Carmen, you were saying?
What about the filter? When should we change that?
On the Model 3, they recommend once every 2 years if it's the cabin filter you're referring to.
Yes,
but you can. I don't know if Tesla does it for the Model 3. I don't think they do. But I've put in a HEPA filter instead.
Okay.
And those you don't have to replace now until once every 3 years. But yeah, my one I replaced just after 3 years, and it took a good 3 years and a few months before it started getting a little bit smelly. So so they say every 2 years, but you can wait a little while, and once it gets smelly, you do it then.
Okay,
I do mine every year. I do mine every year. Because Perth's just disgustingly dirty and stuff like that. You know, there's always shit around.
What is it that you're doing in that car?
I drive it all over the shop. Yeah, I just get the Tesla boys to come out. It's like it's $81 fit, you know, including labor. Yeah, and they just come to your house.
Yep,
So,
they come to the house. They spray it with sanitizer, disinfectant, the whole lot.
Yeah,
pretty good job.
$81.
They go
I just got it done like 2 weeks ago.
Is any change? They clear
You'll be
it.
pleased to know, Jared, I'm picking up my car seat covers on Friday.
Oh, the ones you made in the prison workshop.
Prestige, I think they're called.
Very good.
Yeah,
That'll be.
Oh yeah.
That'd be awesome. Now, just to finish that theme with the cabin air filter, you can actually buy it from Tesla for $26 if you fit it yourself.
Yeah.
So,
I'll bring it on Sunday, can I?
if they come to your house and they fit it, it's $36. So.
Oh really?
But that's I just noticed that in a invoice I just saw. I'm trying to look through my invoices. Yep, $36.
Really?
Harold.
Cabin
Yes.
filter remove and replace.
Hang on, Jared. Pete's yep. Go, Jared.
Sorry, I'm done.
Okay, Harold, I've got a question for you. My Starlink, which is affiliated companies with Tesla, I just want to point that out. Affiliated. I'm having issues pausing my service. I haven't opened my box and turned my Starlink on, but I've lost my 2 months free, and they're now starting to send me a bill that I still haven't turned my Starlink on because I bought it for camping only.
Right. So you need to pause it. You need to be in RV mode. So you need to be spending $174 a month, and then you just log in and you go pause service. If it doesn't show pause, it's because you're spending 130 or something. Yeah. So unfortunately, you've got to go up to the higher price point, and then you can pause it.
I rang an inferior person during the week, which I can't really say who it was, but they couldn't really help me like I expected them to help me. They weren't Harold, but I didn't want to bother you on such a little matter. But yeah, so thank you, Harold.
No, definitely. I've got two. Yep, I've got 2 Starlink accounts, and I did just cruise around just out of interest. And the one that I've got that's fixed, like a fixed Starlink, you can't pause. And on my other account, it literally has a checkbox, not a checkbox, a button on the web page to pause. So,
thank you, Harold. Yeah, well, this person that gave me the advice during the week, he's got 6 Starlinks and also a mobile phone service and all the necessary bits. So, and he obviously just forgot how to pause it. He just probably had a bit of a malfunction because he wasn't getting much good sleep when he was traveling around Australia, apparently, because he was sleeping in the car. So, yeah, when I speak to him next, I'll certainly pass that on. Thank you.
Just threw me under the freight train there.
So 20 minutes of conversation and 4 phone calls compared to Harold 3.5 seconds. Yeah, no worries. Thanks, Harold. Appreciate it.
No worries. I'm always happy to help, Jared.
Oh, jeez.
Usually.
That's amazing.
Sometimes you just got to ask the right question of the right person and in the right forum. Ask us anything, see?
It just keeps on getting better.
I had an issue and it's now been resolved. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Anytime, Jared.
Yeah, no worries, Pete.
Righty, enough of the Mutual Admiration Society. Anyone got any other questions or comments?
So Carmen, you will be there Sunday?
I will be. I'll show you the car seat covers.
Oh, good. I look forward to seeing you.
What colour are they, Carmen?
Graphite grey.
Oh, very nice.
Richard Chapman will be there.
Very nice.
Can I throw in an extra question now that I've had a bit of thing?
Yes, Tim. Yeah, go. You've yep.
I've got things always pondering in the back of the head. Now that I'm thinking if Model Y is back on the potential cards, has anyone done any light off-roading or suspension upgrades or anything like that?
No.
Hey, Harold, did Jürgen and John, did they do, because they did some suspension work, I think they just retuned their suspension for the Perth to Sydney marathon.
And
because
brakes.
they did a lot of gravel driving, about 50% was on the gravel.
That was a Model 3, and they did. And in fact, Tim, you can get from various companies now, one of them being Unplugged Performance. They're based in the States, but there are a lot of companies with aftermarket suspension tuning arrangements.
Yeah.
So...
But for road racing or everything.
Or for all sorts, for making it more comfortable, making it harder, making it there's all different setups. Unplugged isn't just for racing. They also, for example, have a tuning setup to make the car more comfortable.
Right. Okay.
There was Brian from I1 Tesla, an American
Good job.
YouTuber, who took his Model Y off road, and I think he did something with the suspension and so
He
on.
raised it quite a bit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he went four-wheel driving.
Yeah,
We
well, they've got the
unintentionally
tool.
did about 100 Ks of Pilbara gravel roads in the Model S, and the suspension still creaks. So don't do that.
Yeah. Speaking of rising up, is Nigel Saunders and Alex having a competition tonight? See who can not get all their head in the screen, because Nigel Saunders always wins with just his two eyes. Oh, there he is.
He's
on one side. It definitely looks like the Muppet Show tonight. That's for sure. What is going on here?
It's
crazy.
Nigel's sunset. That's what it is.
Nigel Saunders. We have still got that GoFundMe page for Nigel Saunders to get his whole head in the screen. We're up to 35 million, I think. So yeah, it's amazing. Hi, Nigel Saunders. Good to see you.
Oh, he's muted.
Any news on the music scene, Jared? Any
Hey,
concerts
Jared.
coming up?
Yes.
Oh, you're muted, Carmen. Oh, hang on a second. What's going on with that?
Any?
I don't know.
Sorry. Any
Sorry?
concerts coming up?
Not that I can announce yet, Carmen. But yes, I can't. I have signed NDRs. But I can
NDAs.
say- I call them NDRs. It's a different one. And you know, you will know soon. There is a lot of shows coming through next year, because there's been a lot of poor artists playing shows, haven't played shows because of COVID, and they need to make some money. I mean, you know.
So Engelbert Humperdinck, Nana Muscuri, perhaps on a comeback.
Maybe on a wax tour, I could probably say, on a Madame Tussauds wax tour with a big sound system behind them, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if a promoter can make that happen, there's no doubt about it. Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, yeah, there's a lot of shows coming through, Carmen, that will be announced in the next 3 months. So, yeah.
Excellent.
So the Pink show that is happening next year.
Yes, I know. Sold out straight away.
Yeah, she was doing 2 shows, so don't worry about that. And also, generally when they do a show in Optus, they generally back it up with another show just around the corner behind it, because yeah, it just makes it more worthwhile, and they share costs on site costs and stuff like that. So they're trying to do 2 shows or 3 shows in there at the same time, generally.
And it's also cheaper on the turf replacement. You only have to replace the turf once rather than over and over.
The turf replacement for Ed Sheeran was about the bill of the catering. It was nothing. I mean, you know, like I said, that night he took, I don't know, 25 million guarantee paid by the promoter. He would have walked away with probably another 2 million in merch, and then meet and greets. He probably makes another $500,000 in meet and greets. So, you know, work the costs out there. I mean, you know, and that was a quieter show. I mean, when he did 75,000 in Perth, he did 108 in Melbourne, 104 one night, 108 the next night. So, you know, I mean, it's Australian dollar. It's not worth much. Once you go to America, you only get 50 cents in the dollar, but you know, you're still getting a few dollars.
Not quite.
It was nice of him to get out of bed just for us, I guess. That's a compliment, really.
It is exactly. I mean, people said he did a great show. People forget that he was on a world tour for 2 years. He's been on that show for 2 years. So by the time he come to Perth, it was show number 300 and something. So they're going, wow, it was a great show. Well, yeah, it was just another day in the office. I mean, you know, it's all routine. That whole performance was just big show, 120 semi-trailers of gear. Well, that's a lot of gear. And they couldn't find 5 trucks to be the same since they sold to Woolworths. So they had to get a lot of contractors in. So it was quite weird. Different kinds of trucks. Yeah, it was very, very strange show. But yeah, there you go. And compared to Europe, if they hire trucks in Europe, they can get 200 semi-trailers and they're all silver and they're all got Mercedes and they're looking strictly the same. But yeah, in Australia, it was a bit of proper transport. But they all made money, as you know. So they all made the cash. So, but yeah,
Very
a lot
good.
of shows coming next year, come to answer your question.
Good, good.
So you
Look
can
There could
forward
even be one named after you, Carmen. Is that
Prison Break.
Carmen Buranda? Carmina Buranda?
Carmen Hunter.
Carmen.
That's a long time ago.
It sure is.
But
Good
there
old
is a-
days.
yeah, I think there is a Carmen opera, a new one.
Very good.
Yeah.
Opera is not my favourite genre, to be perfectly honest, but
Yeah, it's the opera.
it's an acquired taste.
It definitely.
It is.
I
that
don't know
one's
if we'll
not
have
too
operas
bad.
in Teslas very soon, to be honest.
Well, the seats are very comfy. You can have a good sleep.
The seats.
Well, depends which car
True. Model Y. Just
and how tall you are, Paul.
Yeah, the seats, you go back.
There you go.
Heaps of room.
Absolutely.
Canvas prices has gone up. Sorry. Yep.
So what's going up?
I've got an update.
Paul?
Oh, the
I've got an
shares.
update on the
Go Shane.
on my dramas from Norseman, if anyone's interested.
Yes.
Remember that I had a
What were
plug
the-
fall out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Norseman. Sorry. Yes, apologies. Yes. Go. Yes.
Yeah. No. If for anyone watching on YouTube that might have seen it, a couple of weeks ago when I went through the whole sorted story, my car was running on a zip tie holding the plug together for the last 2 months, something like that. I was quite happy with that, but it was reliable, did what it needed to do. But the Tesla guys decided that it'd be a good idea to replace the entire harness. So my car went into the shop for it took them about a day and a half or thereabouts to replace it. It took them months to get an entire harness, I guess, because they make harnesses to fit new cars. They don't really keep them as spares. So it took a while for the harness to show up, but yeah, they pulled it out, replaced it entirely, the whole shooting match, and then I jumped in the car they gave me a loaner car for the time, so that was all good. And then the interesting thing is I got in the car and I took off because I had to get to a dentist appointment, so I took off, drove half an hour, and I was like, geez, the aircon's not really working real well. And got to my dentist appointment, took a few photos of the car parked in the shade, and just a few screenshots of what was going on with the temperatures inside the car. Sent it back to service and said, hey guys, I'm not sure the aircon's quite working properly. By the time I got out from the dentist, there was messages back from the service guys saying, hey, yeah, just bring your car back, please. Turns out they made a soft connection, which I translated to mean they didn't plug it in properly. And yeah. 20, well, not even a few hours. The next morning, the car was good to go again. So yeah, pretty happy with that.
Air gap, Shane.
What was that? Sorry.
It had an air gap.
Yes, an air gap. Yeah,
Air
high
gap,
resistance gap. Yes.
Yeah.
And so the only thing left over from that is that my non-approved accessory, being my tow bar, or more specifically the lights from my tow bar, are not connected anymore. So I do need to figure out, and if anyone has the faintest clue, that'd be handy. I do need to figure out how to get in and rewire my trailer lights back in.
Richard Cooper.
Yes, where is
Who
he?
is
Richard Cooper.
not here tonight.
No, but you could ring him. He's a guy who would know that answer very quickly.
Yeah.
He's probably done it.
Yeah, I might have to get his number off of someone if that's all right.
Yeah, Harold. I think I've got it.
Yeah, I've got it, Shane. I'm just going to show what was actually wrong, and that was this, just to refresh people's memory. So this was Shane's issue, whereby basically when you look at the original photo there, you can actually see
the problem right there.
That's the problem right there, that was exposed, not because it was cut back, it was because it wasn't firmly plugged in enough.
Richard
That was
Chapman
the whole
had the
issue.
same issue. He's also been exposed and he's had a cable tie holding it together. So he knows exactly.
What are you on about again now, Jared?
Just follow that one, mate. You'll be right onto it.
Okay, I missed that bit.
It comes to cable
And
tie.
oh, and the other thing is that Shane, you know, they harshly got rid of his awesome cable tie, which was doing all the work.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know,
Well, there are
he's
actually
lost.
two cable ties there. You can't quite see it in that photo, but one was holding the locking thing in place, which is what the photo you can see on the left. But there was actually, after I took the photo on the right, I stuck another one on just to make sure that the little holster stayed in its little holder as well, because the cable tie was a bit fat for it. But yeah, I was pretty happy with that. That got me another, I don't know, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 K, 8,000 Ks after I did that.
Well done, Shane.
Didn't miss a beat up.
It's extremely proud.
That's almost as good as the 25,000 kilometers that my Model X, when it had a hole in its tire, when I put a plug in it, that lasted probably nearly 30,000 kilometers before Richard decided to finally put the tire out of its misery and get two new ones.
Well past its due
I
date.
did one of those.
You still got
I
the
did one
homeless
of those.
people in the back in the boot, though, Harold. You still got that homeless couple living in the back, aren't they, Richard?
Oh yeah.
In Harold, thanks.
There you go. So that's good, Shane, that they actually changed the loom. I mean, to be honest, they probably didn't have to, but I guess
It was a bit excessive, really. I mean, but if that's what they want to do, that's what they want to do. You know, that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
absolutely.
Car's running up against the end of its warranty now, so I guess if there's any electrical fault, can I call that the warranty restarts?
Yeah.
That would be lovely, yes. If the clock restarted for every major fault that was repaired or whatever you call it, starting with R, resolved for any major repair or problem.
Does it funny? So I went through a few routers one time like that.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to use a router on granite, Shane, really. You know, it's just a bit off label, seriously.
It was
dearing me.
tungsten carbide he was using it on.
Exactly. Now, since we're an ecumenical Ask Us Anything, how's Sarah's lovely Atto going?
Oh, she's very, very happy with it. I don't know if you realise, but the trip she did from Perth to Sydney and back, she did a trial trip before that, between Perth to Bremer Bay and back, just to work out ranges and, so we had a bit of a baseline for doing calcs on. On that trip, her cruise control failed. And so it actually hasn't been repaired yet. They were waiting for a calibration tool to arrive. Yeah, so she did the entire trip with no cruise control.
Jeez,
that's hard work.
They've recently got the calibration tool has arrived in Perth, but they need to now learn how to use said calibration tool. So I don't know. It's a good little car. It's a very good car, and it's at a pretty attractive price point. They've got a ways to go, I think, in the. People whinge about Tesla customer service, but we're not doing too bad. We're not doing too bad. My experience with Aubrey and the guys in Perth here has been really good.
Yeah, absolutely. What's the towing capacity of the Atto, if it has one?
750. Sorry, I do know that. 750. Interestingly, it's 750 braked and 750 unbraked, which sounds odd. That sounds to me that whoever put the application in didn't ask the question properly. Actually, while we're on the towing capacity thing, does it, my Model 3 is rated with the stealth tow bar on it, is rated for 750 unbraked and 1000 braked.
Yes. Yep.
Do you know what the limitation is on that? Is that the suspension? Is that the tow hitch itself? Is that the structure of the car? Is it just because that's the question that was asked?
I know that the performance, for example, in the 3, not in the Y, but in the 3, the performance with the performance wheels is downrated down to 500 unbraked. So, so I don't know if the wheels have got anything to do with it. Well, they obviously do, because I like to think that my performance, being a stealth performance with the 18-inch wheels, I can tow 750 with it.
Yeah.
So maybe
is that 750 unbraked and a ton
Unbraked,
braked, or
unbraked, yeah.
Yeah.
So surely the braking's got to do with the dynamics of the actual car's brakes and the specification of its tyres, perhaps for friction coefficient and etc. So if you've got trailer brakes, there's a presumption.
Yeah, but a 1600 kilo car, ish. I think that's where about the Model 3 is. I think it's 1650, something like that. That's a reasonably heavy car. I'm fairly certain that there would be utes out there that are with a similar sort of spec with a higher towing capacity. So
it's
not sure what it is.
Car, because the performance is another 200 odd kilos above that again. So it wouldn't be the weight of the car.
Good night, all.
I'm just.
See you on the weekend.
Jared.
Good night, Jared.
Yeah,
take care, mate.
Good night,
Look forward to
Jared.
it.
You
Thanks,
Sunday.
Take
I'm
care of
gonna
that
go as
thing.
well. Night,
Yeah,
boys
I'll look
and
after it.
girls.
Good night, Paul.
Have a good night.
I'm just logging into Rover, which actually has all of the specs. So just bear with me for a moment.
Yeah, so you trust me to come along with the hard questions right at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for that, Shane. I just got to go to Tesla because unfortunately it's in alphabetical order. And we might as well do this live because it makes it a bit more fun. And if we go to Tesla Model 3, so then actually I'm going to undo this because it's going to take a little moment to find the actual towing capacity. But yeah, look, it's probably got to do with a whole lot of things that Tesla's just decided that 750 unbraked, and because obviously when you have a braked trailer, there's a presumption of braking effort and therefore how much it's going to impinge on a car that has to heavily brake. So it's obviously that sort of factor that you do derate it for unbraked.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I understand how that stuff works. I actually work with a chappie that used to do that sort of stuff. And yeah, there's it's not immediately obvious. You can't just take the weight of the car or the size of the car or whatever.
There we go. It's a ton braked and 750. And by the way, the gross mass is 2232. And the tear is 1844 for a Model 3.
1844 sounds high, but okay, I believe you.
Yeah,
that
might be for that's the dual motor.
That's the performance.
That's the
Oh,
performance. So that's dual motor. LR, that's the long range is 1760.
Mine's a standard range, so it's even lighter again.
Yeah, so they don't seem to have the standard. There's 3 configurations: D, dual range, long. Yeah, they don't have it here at the moment.
Yeah,
handy.
okay. I've got a bit of paper that says I got a bit of paper that says it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
I assume it's okay.
Sorry, can I just clarify, because I jumped in at the end. What was the original question to do with the trailer weights?
I was wondering what actually limits the towing capacity on my SR. I think we spoke, Jim, at the EVWA meet at UWA a little while ago.
Yes. Yeah, but were you talking about the unbraked value?
Yeah, braked, the difference between braked and unbraked.
Yeah, well, I think the 750 kilo limit is an Australian standards across everything, like not to do with the vehicle limit. I'm pretty sure that's an Australian regulation, because they don't have that same regulation in New Zealand. Because my little E6 here, or everything here, if you have a look up, I've looked up every vehicle pretty much, and 750 seems to be a pretty standard unbraked value. So I think that's an Australian road rule. But they don't have those limits. It's 2 ton unbraked in New Zealand.
That possibly makes sense, because I've had 750 kilo trailers lose their wheelies on gravel roads and stuff here. So
yeah,
they dance around and make life interesting. But yeah, I was wondering what actually limits the capacity, even the brake capacity.
So here's the Model X, for example. So maximum towing mass non-braked. This is for a Model X, 750 kilos. So I think you're onto something there, Tim. And then braked trailer is 2250. So it looks like, as Tim described, it's a standards thing.
Yeah.
that
no passenger vehicle ought to run a trailer that hasn't got brakes above 750 kilos.
I do wonder if there's anything. Reason for the question is, I wonder if I could bump my limitation up to say 1500 braked or even a bit more braked.
You'd have to do what James. Handy. You'd have to do as James suggested and get that report done.
I might be on the list with you.
You can't have more than 750 on any trailer. As soon as it gets 750, you've got to put brakes on your trailer. So that's why they'll always say the limit 750. It's dumb because, like camper trailer peoples, they sell trailers that weigh 700 kilos, so they don't have to put brakes on them. But as soon as you put a bag of clothes in there, you're over the limit, and then it's your problem, not their problem. So that's it. But yeah, it's a formula. They don't bother about calculating it. They just say petrol. Some petrol 4x4s will have less towing capacity than the same model diesel, and it's just a tick box formula they go through, and that's what the engineer does in a GVM upgrade. They've actually got to do calculations, and things like the weight capacity of a wheel will change the difference. So an aluminium wheel can't hold the same weight as a steel wheel, and that's why sometimes they might just be a simple spring upgrade. You get an extra 350 kilos on your four-wheel drive, but often a lot of people, because ball weight's a big problem. I used to have a Pajero, and the Pajero could only have 180 kilo ball weight, which is very, very light. So it discounted a lot of caravans were illegal because they're too heavy. But you just went there and got a tick, and suddenly you could carry 250 kilos on you, for as long as your car was and it was cheap because there's a million Pajeros, and they'd done all the measurements, they'd done all the calculations. An engineer sat down for a week and done that already. You'll just get it $100. There you go, off you go. But yeah, if we got a Tesla done, I reckon we'd be up quite a bit more.
For the first one, yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like a crowdfunding exercise to me.
I've got a similar thing with my E6 just to get a tow ball on the back because none have been imported with it, but New Zealand's towing trailers and they've done all the work, but Australia hasn't signed it off, so we can't have it yet.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, New Zealand has got a bit of a reputation of doing a lot of things that we haven't done in Australia, particularly in the EV space. They've got vastly more models that were available before they were here, because of various restrictions, and the same thing applied with even charging infrastructure for that matter. New Zealand, we used to look jealously for a country of 4 million people, I think it is, and a tiny landmass, they had more fast DC chargers than all of Australia. And yeah,
And Sarasano had a similar issue. It was delayed by 2 or 3 months because they needed to take a Stanley knife to the carpet in the back so that you could access the child safety restraint. The restraint was installed, but they couldn't deliver them into Australia because in New Zealand they got a 5x5 safety rating, but in Australia they didn't even pass because to access the child safety restraint, you had to lift up the bit of carpet to clip the hook onto, whereas in Australia you're not allowed to lift up the bit of carpet. The hook's got to be in your face, apparently.
There you go. That's the Australian design rules for you. And yet in Australia they don't mandate the fact that an indicator stalk ought to be on the driver's the driver's window side of the car, as it is in Europe. But that's another story. The good thing is, though, if you do go on holidays and you do hire a Tesla in Europe, at least all the controls are on the same side of the steering wheel, so that is a bit familiar, even though the steering wheel's on the left side, which is the wrong side, because the right side is the right side.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Very
Alrighty. Any other little questions or anecdotes that we've got?
Not on cars, but seeing as all you gurus are there, I can hear my TV, but I can't see it. What's happened?
Open your eyes, Carmen. Open your eyes.
What's happened?
It's behind you. That's why. Is this for general, commercial channels, digital TV, or is it, are you using a set, anything?
No, it's just black, but I can hear it.
Is it a plasma TV or is it LCD?
LCD.
It sounds like the backlight stopped. The power supply for the backlight, the LED backlights. It sounds like that power supply is gone. So if you did something like, I don't know if it'd work, if you put a really bright light, get your phone torch or something and put it really close to the screen, have a good look, you might just be able to see some sort of bit of picture.
Okay.
But that's probably what it's most likely to be.
So is it the TV or is it?
It's inside the TV. Yeah,
Okay.
no, it'd be inside. So if you can change channels and you hear the sound perfectly well, and it's nothing silly you can't even get to the controls because it's all menu based. It's most likely, if it's an LCD TV, it's the backlight power supply has failed.
It could also be.
Is that a built-in?
It could also be one of their kids or their grandkids turn the brightness right the way down to black. That's happened before too.
Okay.
Yeah, the problem is how do you find it? You'd have to try and reset it because
That's pretty stupid that it lets you go down that low.
Yeah,
Because
mine
if you
did.
have a look like on the Tesla screen, even if you go down, even if you take the screen brightness down to 10%, you can still see exactly where all the menus are. So
Yeah,
when
normally the menus don't go down in contrast brightness.
Yeah, true.
Good
Actually,
point.
that's true.
They have a
Yeah.
splash screen.
so hit the menu button on your TV and see if that comes up.
Okay.
So that's sort of like the settings or the menu
Yes.
button, and that might help it if one of the grandies has had a little play.
It couldn't be anything that the remote, one of the functions on remote.
Well, except if that function on the remote was to adjust the brightness, so you go into menu, like the little home button, or sometimes there's the little settings sort of symbol.
Okay.
In fact, let's have a look. So,
Carmen, it's not in an eco mode or something, is it? Because I think our Sony has a thing where it turns the screen off after a certain amount of time. It's definitely not something like that.
No, because I can hear it. It's an LG.
Yeah.
so you could, there's, that button there, that's one of the menu buttons there.
Okay.
Something like that.
Okay. Okay. I'll have another
But-
look. It was a bit strange.
Yeah.
You could just,
Yes.
Carmen, you could just try literally just unplugging the TV from the PowerPoint.
I did.
Yeah, oh, okay. And
I
wait a
did
couple
that.
of minutes.
Mm. I thought it might be an auto reset.
Mm,
So, and I also unplugged the HDMI cable and left it for a few minutes and then plugged it back in. But that didn't work either.
So when you say HDMI cable, is that to like an Apple TV or to a video recorder or something like that? The HDMI cable? Do you know? So you said you unplugged. So the HDMI cable sort of looks like that. Actually, I'll just spotlight myself. Sorry,
Yeah, no,
I'll do
it's
that
not. It's not that one.
again.
No, it's the
So-
the one with the little round point.
Oh, the antenna cable. Right.
Antenna cable.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, I did that. Mm. I couldn't
No,
see
so
any
it
other
won't be that.
cables.
I mean, the thing that's interesting is that you've got sound. So if you've got sound, it means it's picking up the TV signal, no
Yeah.
problems at all. It's just the picture.
It's actually
So-
perfect sound.
Yeah. Look, it sounds to me, unless, as mentioned previously, unless someone's inadvertently turned down the brightness so low, but I mean, that's possible.
As Tim said, the menus don't turn down in brightness; they remain on.
Okay.
Yep.
So,
I'll
yeah.
check
So
that.
yeah, do press that menu button and see if anything comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you've got like a settings, when you have like that cog wheel, sometimes they might have
Yes.
a menu that's like that for settings.
Yes. Yes,
And then,
it could be one of a visiting children that has just touched the wrong button.
yeah, they sort of might explore around a little bit and then they
You-
just
you
keep
can't
holding the
touch
button.
Yeah, but you can't touch the TV. They would only be able to do it on the
Remote, yes.
remote. Mm.
Which you can do. That's the thing, is you can operate it with the remote because you just press the menu button, go to brightness or contrast or something.
Okay.
Contrast not so much, but brightness, and then just, it's usually at 50% or whatever, 60%, and then you can just do it to 0. Although, having said that, I'll just try it on a TV I've got here. I don't know that you can actually, whether most TVs will go to 0. But then Shane, you said that yours did, so I'm not quite sure.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, my previous TV used to do that. I'm just messing with it as we're talking here, and I'm getting it pretty close. You got to turn down brightness, saturation, and contrast, and I've got it to not quite dark, completely dark, but very close.
Yeah, I'm just trying it now.
But you can still see the menus, though, can't you?
Yeah, the menus are still 100%. Yeah. No, the menus still work. So,
yeah, I've just tried myself, and it goes nowhere near totally black at all. Nowhere near it.
one of my
And that's
old
at
ones
0.
did, but this my newer one doesn't do that. It's much better. I'm going to set it back though, because otherwise I'm not going to be able to see anything.
Yeah, cool. The other thing, again, like I said before, Carmen, is it might actually be a fault with the backlight.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Well, there's not too many cables, but it is in an automatic cabinet where the leads go in and it comes up and down.
Yes.
Hmm.
Well, that physical movement, I mean, that could have. It's possible because the backlight, it's probably a high voltage supply because you've got a lot of small LEDs, white LEDs, lighting up the back of the screen, or side lighting it. So it's possible it could be damaged, but
Yep.
you
But
might be
that's
up for
But that's
another
inside
one.
the TV.
Oh yes, inside the TV. It's nothing connected to the TV.
Yeah.
If you've got proper sound and it's coming from the TV itself and not, say, from an Apple TV or a Google,
No, no.
whatever it's called, Chromecast or whatever they call it. It will be inside your TV.
Right.
So it's nothing that you've unplugged or anything like that at all.
No. It's attached to a cabinet, so otherwise I would just pick it up and take it to get it looked at. But there's a bit of messing around to get it out.
Yeah, that's the problem when you have awesome custom stuff like
Yes.
that. It's fiddly. You just hope it lasts forever, but
When it
nothing
works,
does
it's
that.
fabulous.
It's magical because it comes out of itself,
Yeah.
like it rises up. Yep, very good. I've actually seen beds like that a few years ago. At the end of a bed, which was pretty strange, this TV would come out of the bed head.
It's not strange. It works.
It sure does.
Harvey
It sure
Norman
does.
have a media bed.
Yep, very good.
Yeah.
All we need is a bed with sort of like stubby holder coaster things that keep drinks cold, or
Yeah. No, it's good if you have feet operations and you can't walk.
yes. I'm not sure if that'd help Jared because he's got other dysfunctions of the other limbs. So I don't know if that'd help him.
I think so. How did he do his arm?
Pete, how did Jared?
Pete, wake up,
Pete.
We put him to sleep.
Pete, we had a very important question. How did Jared get his injury?
Well, driving on a track or, off-road, driving 101, you keep your thumbs out of the wheel. So, yeah, apparently he had his thumbs inside the wheel, and when the wheel kicked back, it whacked his thumb. And then he did about 5 rolls on the ground holding his leg. But yeah. Well, I wasn't there, but that's just the secondhand information that I'm privy to.
Alleged.
Allegedly. So it sort of qualifies as a motor vehicle accident, really, just quietly. But
not fun, I'm sure.
Absolutely not. Now, something that is fun is Tesla share price, because it looks like it's going to open a little bit higher, not a lot.
It was good.
But
it was good the last few days.
We'll just spotlight that so we can see it a bit better. So they are up, well, a couple of % on the pre-open at least anyway. Oh, is this actually open? No, they're open. That's actually trading. Apologies. That's
opened at 9:30.
Ah, great. So they're up, which is great. That's always good.
We've got the Sunday, the volume for the last quarter should come out. So guess what the market's expecting?
Ooh.
420.
I don't know, Pete.
420. What on?
What, 420,690?
420,000 is the expectation at the moment.
Well,
really?
It's nearly 200.
Oh, $200, yes. So 420, that's an annual of 1.68 million, which is, yeah, that's about right, isn't it? Because they're looking at 1.7, 1.8 million, I think. I think that was right, Pete.
Yeah.
Or was it? And then I think Elon Musk said it.
Well, they did 1.3 last year. So if you multiply 1.3 times 1.4, you get about that.
Yeah, and if you go 50%, it's 1.95, which I think Elon Musk actually said he thought that was quite likely, but they deliberately sandbagged in case there's another pandemic or some other crisis that's going to happen with some of their parts or whatever, it sounded like. But, you know, with Europe...
Berlin and Austin are still on the way up, so it's...
Yeah. Well, Berlin went from 4,000 units per day to 5,000 in a matter of 27 days.
Wow.
So that's a big leap, or a big
And that
incremental leap.
was- But to go from 3,000 to 4,000 took them about 3 months.
Yes, that's
So,
right. Yep.
Yes, they're really starting to hit their strides. So yeah, just Texas needs to do the same, and Shanghai, they're probably going to be producing a lot more than a million units. So yeah, add Fremont to that. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Texas
exactly.
won't be a steady ramp with the Cybertruck coming to probably slow some of that down. They'll go up.
That's all right. The Cybertruck's allowed to slow everything down. That's fine.
That's right. In fact, you know,
I agree.
I think they should stop producing any Model Ys at
Yes.
Gigafactory
Yes. Who
in
needs a Model
Texas.
Y?
That's right. We just need the Cybertruck. You know,
Yes, you threw out the Model 3, Harold. You said we don't need the Model 3, just produce Model Ys. And now you're throwing out the Model Y as well, just want the Cybertruck.
I'll throw them both out. I'm good. I got mine. I just
because
want my
why wouldn't you just want to look at this all day? I mean, come on. That's what else is there?
Awesome.
You don't need a Model Y. You just need a Cybertruck.
Yep.
Well, it can do everything the Model Y can, only better and cheaper.
Well,
I
should
can do
be,
everything.
it should be a little bit roomier to sleep in, Pete.
Oh,
Put
yes.
a whole tray in the back. You can take your
Good
dog
point.
with you and sleep with your dog as well.
And apparently, the aircon will work under the tonneau cover as well.
Oh, really? Is that
Well,
new news?
No. This is from the speculation from like a year ago. So
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It also works if you take an angle grinder and cut through the back of the cabin into under the tonneau cover. That would work then too.
Well, there's already aftermarket people who are putting a pop top on it, so I'm assuming they want to make use of the aircon to come through into the cabin, into the back.
That's the Geolander. Yes.
Quite,
That's
But didn't they say fairly recently that Tesla themselves were making quite a few accessories for the Cybertruck, letting you buy optional things to go camping with, etc. So surely there's got to be aircon in the tray for all those accessories.
well, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I'm just trying to find this Geolander. Oh, here we go. The Geolander.
So does it
And
mean that there's only 2 more models to make his prediction logo? So we need an A and an R.
You need sexy cars.
Yes, so there's an A and an R missing.
The A is the ATV. It's the quad little motorbike thing that goes on the back of the Cybertruck.
Oh, okay.
And the other R would be, no, it's already there, Roadster.
Roadster.
So it's the
Okay.
S, the 3, the X, the Y is already built.
Yep.
The C is the Cybertruck. The A is the ATV.
And is that ready?
Well, they did show one at the Cybertruck reveal. The R is the Roadster, which is already around, or sort of, and then the S is the Semi.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, Pete, just broke up there.
They started selling the kids' version of the ATV of the Cyberquad, which got taken off the market later. But yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay.
So just for completeness, we'll just rerun this Cyberlander video. It only goes for a minute and a bit. But this is something you can fit in your Cybertruck, although it actually costs the same basically as a Cybertruck. So that's kind of an expensive. Oh, yes. It's starting at $50,000 and the Cybertruck isn't much greater than that actually. So it goes a bit like this.
Oh.
So it fits right inside the vault.
Oh, wow.
So it's quite
I
tall,
thought
and you can stand up.
I thought he could have he would have created some sort of little um, uh, bike or vehicle, something.
Yeah, he has, but that's the four-wheel drive. So this, I mean, this thing's really just for camping in. I mean, you can
Wow.
see how they got the chairs that turn into beds, and you got your induction cooktop. You got a shower.
Oh,
It's a recirculating shower, so it recirculates the
heaven.
water. A
Wow.
dry toilet, and I'll describe how that works in a moment once the video finishes.
Wow.
So you've
It's
got
an
sort of
expensive
everything.
portaloo.
It really is, yes. The dry toilet, actually, it has like a long plastic tube, and as you do things, it basically twists it like a sausage. So then you just get like a string of, let's call them sausages, that are in plastic that you then dispose of later.
Oh,
So that's kind of interesting. I'm sure that's a thing, like that's been done before.
They
But
do that with kids' nappies. You can buy that as a seal off, keep going on a long tube with nappies.
really?
right.
Yeah.
Cool. I'm
Amazing.
grateful to have well passed the nappy stage.
Yeah.
But yeah, at $50,000, I think it was starting at 50 US. I think when the Cybertruck was announced, I think the base model was 45,000 from memory,
49, I think.
or 49. It was like a
30,
shockingly
39.
low
Yeah.
price.
39 single motor.
Oh, yeah, it was too.
39.
Oh,
Yep.
it
So
was a
that's
shocking price. It was so low.
Oh, I was
Hey,
only
but-
thinking a foldable bike or some such.
Oh, yeah, yes. Or maybe Pete's scooter that he lovingly drove around
Yes.
Australia and used
Yes.
3 times. But it was worth it, wasn't it, Pete? That
Absolutely.
dearie
I hope you
me.
wore a helmet.
Of course I did.
I don't know if anyone's seen a Smart Circle, SMA Circle. That's a folding e-bike that I've got, which I'm planning on taking one of them on this trip. But my wife
Okay.
says it looks so dorky, she refuses to ride it or be seen with me riding it. But
Oh, let's have a look.
it folds up. Let's see if I can get a thing up.
No, it goes like this.
Yes.
Oh, that's okay. It goes. That's the main thing.
Yeah, 25 Ks, 25
Yeah.
kilometers an hour, and
Yeah.
folds up is 7 Ks into a backpack.
That's awesome. Well, my sister has been driving a bus around Australia, and that's what she needed.
Yeah, so not great for off-road, but on the bike paths it's pretty all right. And you can sneak it on a train during peak hour because it doesn't look like a bike.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
So it's amazing what you can get on the interwebs. And how much does it cost, Tim?
It changed. I got it as a Kickstarter for about I think I paid about $1,800 for a pair of them. But then now JB Hi-Fi is selling them for 2,200, which I think is pretty pricey. But there's a few e-scooters up that sort of range. But yeah, I was happy with the Kickstarter price.
Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's pretty cool. Their scooters are
If
all the
you're in a
rage.
caravan or a bus or something like that, you do need something.
Oh, very good, Pete. There you go. 39,900. And the two holes in the windows come free.
Oh, really?
That's a third-party accessory, isn't it?
Yes, that's an optional accessory. It's a service fitted accessory.
Wow. Oh.
Yes.
Yeah, they got the biggest year of the whole event, apart from when the truck first rolled out onto the stage.
Oh, the 39,900. Yeah, it was quite shocking because everyone just knew it was going to be vastly more expensive than that, and it just wasn't.
Really?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because it's such a large. It's bigger than an F-150. Well, it's about the size of an F-150. It can tow 14,000 pounds. in
Yes,
Australia
I
braked, of
saw
course,
that come.
but it's huge, you know, and just, yeah, the fact that the door skins are bulletproof, you know, the tri-motor version does 0 to 100 in not very
3 seconds.
much, 3 seconds roughly, not even. So it's just an awesome thing. And, you know, this year there will be Cybertrucks coming off the production line into people's homes in the States. So, you know,
Amazing.
it'll take us a few years to get them, but it'll be worth it.
Yep.
And yeah, Pete can take the whole family and the dog. Dog can be in the vault. And yeah,
My search would
king
be
size
for a towed
mattress.
vehicle.
On that one, Harold, there's a whole bunch of people on the interwebs spreading all kinds of rumours about Cybertrucks being too big for Australian roads, blah, blah, blah. But, F-150s, F-250s, F-350s, they all drive around in Australia, no worries at all.
That's the clincher. That is the clincher, because
they're all bigger than the Cybertruck, apart from the F-150, which is roughly the F-150. The Cybertruck can apparently fit inside the F-150 envelope. So,
yes.
Yeah.
And F-150 is eminently available. You can get a Dodge Ram, those huge Ram, and the F-350s, and they are street legal in Australia. So there's just zero doubt that Tesla isn't bringing the Cybertruck. There's no doubt that it's not going to happen. Although it is going to happen, should I say.
Rams today, and it didn't fit in the parking spot.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, Shane, it's just this silly. It's a silly thing that people have. Oh, sorry, Shane, go.
Yeah, no, we drive some. It always struck me as being just like a daft thing, because we drive some pretty big trucks, like what we would call a truck, around, and they're way bigger than anything that you would classify as a American truck, as in a ute, American ute. Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I can keep my hopes up. That's
well, speaking of hopes, do you remember what the payload has to be for it to be LCT exempt?
1,500 kilos, and the Cybertruck probably isn't. So there is probably going to be an there is actually a formula, and it goes by the load carrying capacity has to exceed the sum of the number of passengers it can carry, on the presumption that the average weight of a passenger is 80 kilograms. So the Cybertruck can carry 5 passengers now because it's reduced from the 6. So there was that's 85, 80.
400.
That's 400 kilos. I forget how it works out. There's a certain ratio that defines a commercial vehicle or a LCT exempt vehicle, and the Cybertruck, I think, unless it can carry more than 1.5 tons in the tray, which I don't think it can.
But wasn't that based on 6 people when we did those calculations?
I think the 1.5 tons is also a definition limit, so it doesn't matter about the number of people, as long as it either has to be more than 1.5 tons or some other funny ratio proportional to the number of people compared to gross.
Right, your Maloos, your 1 ton Maloos and things like that, they didn't count for that, did they?
Yeah, right.
Or did they?
I don't think they were LCT exempt, but then they probably didn't hit the LCT threshold anyway.
So Harold, just looked something up. So it says trucks or vans that can carry over 2 ton, along with motorhomes and camper vans, emergency vehicles, and GSD-free vehicles specifically fitted out for transporting passengers with a disability, are always exempt from the LCT.
Right, so 2 tons is the number, and the Cybertruck's not going to be able to do that.
Or if it's got the accessory on the back to make it a camper van. That might be the loophole.
Yes, yeah, but look, even if the Cybertruck is $100,000, the LCT is not that great. So if you look at the
Well, the way we're
model,
going, the LCD really shouldn't be applicable by the time it gets here anyway, because
Well,
I mean,
I hope the European trade deal was done before then.
yes,
So
yeah,
so it works out to, it's got a 3,500 pounds payload, which is 1,587 kilograms.
so it's just short.
Yeah, it's way short.
So, for example, if we look at the Model Y, its subtotal is 97,000. This is performance, is $97,000, and it's got LCT of only 3,600. So it's not a big deal breaker, as opposed to something like, say, a $200,000 Model X, where you're paying the best part of $35,000 in vehicle taxes of one sort or another. So
It does stuff for the novated lease fringe benefits tax exemption, though. That's the thing.
yes. Yes, that's true. So,
But yeah, Shane made a good point though, because if we're looking at 26 by the time it gets here, and that's index linked 84,916.
oh, Richard, back it off. I was hoping for 25.
Hey, I'm hopeful for 25 too, brother. But yeah.
yes, hopes and wishes don't cut it in the real world. The cold, hard reality will bite. We're all whiling our years away, aren't we? We're just saying, can we just go to sleep, wake up in a few years, and have our Cybertruck in the front driveway? And then, unlike you, Shane, where you've got plenty of space, some of us other mere mortals will have to fret about where we're going to fit our Cybertrucks and what walls we're going to have to cut down, or tear off our roller doors and and other things.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll just build another shed.
How many have you got now, Shane?
Sheds or Cybertrucks?
Well, I've got about 6 Cybertrucks, but how many sheds have you got?
No, I've only got the one shed. It's big enough to fit a good half dozen Cybertrucks in it, though. Maybe a few more, actually.
That's awesome.
Maybe if you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll probably fit 8 in it as it stands.
Well, you win then. I've got 2 sheds, but I could probably only fit. Oh, I could probably fit 4 in one and 3 in the other. So yes, you still win by 1.
Well, then there's garage. I can fit a couple more in there too.
Yeah, well, yeah. It'll be a tight squeeze in the garage. Yeah.
I think I only need one. I really, really only want one. I just want the one.
Well, it's no point buying 2 because they're the same color. See, so you can't even get different colors. It's all the same.
Well, you can get any color as long as
I promised my daughters I'd wrap it in a pink purple shimmery wrap.
Okay.
You know.
I brought up the Cybertruck during the Prezzo, and one of the guys afterwards said, well, if it's going to be stainless steel, isn't it going to be too hot to touch in the sun? And I just said, well, you know, the door, the DeLorean, I'm trying to say, DeLorean with a "the" in front of it. The DeLorean. You guys say that, I'll try and repeat after
the DeLorean, the DeLorean, the DeLorean, the DeLorean.
But you're saying the, you got to say the.
The DeLorean, the DeLorean.
The DeLorean. See, now I can say it. Now, like a parrot, if I can repeat after you. Anyway, but yeah, that was same thing, stainless steel, and you know, we had a few of those in Australia. So
stainless steel won't get that hot because it's basically reflecting most of the heat anyway. So,
but it wouldn't be stainless steel, wouldn't it be a lighter material that looks like stainless steel?
No, Carmen, no, it is actually, it's a very special stainless steel. That's the reason why the Cybertruck's actually the shape it is. I'll just bring it up. because they can't actually stamp it like you would a normal body panel. All they can do is they score it with a scoring tool and then bend it. They can only bend the straight pieces of metal. They can't actually shape it in any other form, like stamp it,
It's
because
essentially
it's
an
just too
origami
hard.
car.
But Harold,
Yeah.
you know how you said the windscreen's going to have a bit of a curve to it?
Yes, it does. Absolutely. Not in this one. This is the original
that's the old
prototype.
version.
Yeah, exactly.
But the boot, would the boot then be in a similar shape? So not the boot, the bonnet. Would the bonnet then be in a similar shape to the?
Yes, and in fact, I've actually got that technology to show what it does, and I'm surprised that Elon Musk hasn't lost his mind, because once I get this thing,
He has lost his mind.
he has lost his mind. Yeah, that's exactly right, Richard. He has. So I've got a video somewhere.
I believe you can cold roll curves, but it's just a lot more work than getting the straight lines.
Yeah, that's right. Let me just.
Mind you,
here
it's
we
a
go.
very slight bend.
So this is a GIF I made up the hard way, but this is some aerial footage of still images of the Cybertruck, and notice how you can see it is curved because you can see the sun glinting, but it's also got, it's not flat, it's got sort of ripples, which you can see there. It's sort of a little bit ripply because you can't, because it has to, this windscreen has got a curve. It's got a curve from this way to that way, so it's curved. You can see that curve there. So effectively what this has to match that curve, which is like part of a cone shape. So
Didn't they score it in multiple lines?
no, it's not. No, they haven't. I think what they've done is they've kind of beaten it or something like that to get it to do that shape.
Yeah,
slightly.
I'd say it's prototype hammer beaten. It won't be the production run.
Yeah,
well, it's funny. It's funny you say that, but they've actually, I've seen the latest videos of the Cybertruck. They all look the same. That bonnet still has that. It's not a perfect cone shape. All I can at best do is sort of pound it, and because it's so hard.
Yeah.
Whereas the bumper bar, the front part, that's okay because you can just bend it, but you can't bend in 2 dimensions.
Yeah.
So you can't
single compound curve.
Exactly. So you can only do a single curve. You can't do a cone shape. Is a lot harder to do. So yeah, it's a problem. And like I said, Elon Musk talks about things like in the Model S, they used to have 2 screws holding the sun visor, where the shaft, goes up to the roof, and there's like a little shaft and that attaches. There's 2 screws on a bracket. The Model X has that disappeared because Elon Musk said that seeing those 2 screws was like laser beams burning his eyes out. He just couldn't handle it. So
yeah.
I don't know how he's coping with the Cybertruck, but clearly he is, because they're still building it. But it's hard. So Carmen, it's a very special stainless steel that cannot be dealt with in standard ways. But one advantage is it's so strong, you don't need all the underbody to make it rigid. The actual skin, it's like an exoskeleton. The skin is a lot of the actual toughness of the vehicle.
Gosh.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Sorry, Shane.
Panels are the structure.
Say again, please.
something in the chat.
Oh,
sorry.
The structural panels. Yeah. Structural body.
Yes, exactly.
The accessory for the ultimate accessory for the Cybertruck, available from JCar. Not at the moment, but
$200,000, but it's out of stock.
yeah, it's
Hang on.
out of stock. Yeah.
Notify me when it's in stock.
Don't worry, it'll be in stock in the past.
Yes.
1885.
I was going to put a email address like, you have got to be joking at whatever.com. Rightio. That's pretty funny. It's a good thing it is out of stock, because I reckon someone might, with a gold Amex, might just for a giggle place the order.
Yep.
So Shane, how did you find that? Just by the way, what did you
Dave,
just go? Oh,
and
I'm looking for a capacitor, and you go, oh, a flux
no,
capacitor.
no, Ant. You know, Ant? Well, you know Ant.
I know Ant.
Yeah. Yes, Ant.
Of course, Ant found it.
Of course, Ant found it. Yes.
Ah, dearie me. All right. Well, before we find a reason to go to bed, might just do a call for last drinks and any juicy bits of news or anything. Sometimes we sort of pull things out of our hats at the last minute, and that just then flies us off. If we had Russell here, he'd certainly pull something out. Oh, which actually, Russell, the good news is, he probably knows this already. You will soon be able to take your Starlink with you. So Russell does a few trips to India every now and then, and he had actually posed the question of whether you could take the Australian Starlink dish and use it in India. And of course, the answer now is, or soon will be, that you can.
Wow.
So you'll be able to take your Starlink anywhere in the world, and as long as it's got Starlink coverage, you can use it. But anyway. But yeah, maybe, oops, I just got to rearrange screens. Sorry about this. Yeah, unless we've got anything else, we might call it a bit of an early night tonight.
Yes.
We've all had a
busy... one more in?
Oh yes, go Tim.
I've now been looking at more stuff for this Model Y off-road upgrades and things. The star pattern for the Model Y wheel, is that a common thing for swapping out with something not so expensive and a bit more happy to be bush bashed? Is it standard
there is. It's different to the Model. No, the pattern's the same as Model 3, but the offset's different. Look, I guess the thing is, it's probably not it's not like a Holden or a Ford pattern, but there are a lot of Tesla accessories, particularly from the States, and increasingly so. So I dare say it wouldn't be that difficult to find aftermarket rims that would be compatible. Put it this way, that's the least of your problems, I think.
Yeah.
Really, that really is the least of your concerns, because you're not going to go full. Well, if you go bush bashing, you really need to get the long range Y. In other words, the dual motor Y that's not yet available, or the performance, which is available and is dual motor.
Gotcha. The performance is all wheel, but that's the only all wheel model at the moment.
At this stage, yes, until Tesla brings out the long range dual motor, which, interestingly enough, in Europe, you can buy the long range and the performance, but not the standard range. And Europe has chargers everywhere, superchargers. In Australia, you can only buy the standard range or the performance, not the long range. But that anomaly will change. There's no doubt that, in fact, Tesla have already gotten the long range type approved and all the specs are known. And in fact, the Tesla service center in Perth, one of their so-called Ranger vehicles, they're the ones where they do service work at your workplace or home, that actually is one of the sample long range versions of the Model Y. So it's just a matter of time.
It's the blue one, I think. Blue one with black.
It's the blue one. Yep, exactly. Yeah. Yep, exactly right, Pete. So that it's already been done. And the advantage for you, Tim, would be it'll probably be about $10,000 to $15,000 cheaper than the performance.
Right. Yeah.
But the stud patterns are all the same. So anything in the Model Y is compatible throughout.
Yeah.
And of course, there are plenty of aftermarket rims that you can get, but I'd discount that. You could just substitute tires. You could get the 19 inch, I think, the Model Y rims are standard as 19 inches. And you can just put any rubber that you want on them, basically. that might be more off-roady or something like that.
Yeah.
Just one thing in terms of rubber, I remember I spent quite a bit of time looking for, the best tyres to take off-road. And then I found that most of the off-roading that I did was actually done on sand. And the best tyre for sand is basically a road tyre. So,
Yeah, just lower pressure.
yeah, exactly, just lower pressure. So I just ended up going full circle, coming back where I started. So,
all right, good to
Yeah,
know.
exactly. I mean, look, Tim, you've got a long road to drive to actually get a car that's suitable in your time frame.
Yeah.
To be honest.
Yeah.
And really, I think it won't take you very long to work out that possibly a Model Y would be your best bet, with or without adjusted tow rating.
Yeah, true.
How are you going to get from, like, there's a bit across the top. Is it Camberwell on the Queensland border to?
No, you've actually got Barclay Homestead. No, you got Barclay Homestead that's about in the middle, so it's only 230 or 40 k's.
Is that the one at Tablelands?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's correct. Yes.
Yeah, 260 k's across there.
Yeah. So if you have to do
that's
75 k's
cross path.
Yes, that's where Pete and I actually met in the middle at Barclay Homestead, which actually burnt down. Well, not the whole thing didn't burn down, but they had a fire some months ago.
It had nothing to do with that. That was way after we left.
No, that wasn't that wasn't a Tesla fire. Although we might have set the ember. Sorry, say that again, Tim.
No, that was me. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Who? Oh, anyway, never mind. But yeah, so the gap that you don't need to worry about the gaps too much. You just got to slow down.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean,
well, my experience with towing with the Model 3 is that and I think I told you this, Tim, but this is for anyone who's still saddest enough to still be listening. It basically took, my average consumption is around about the 150 mark, 155 watt hours per kilometre, which I suspect it's slightly above spec, but I do silly things like tow trailers and stuff. So probably bumps the average up. But when towing, it generally takes it to about 250 thereabouts. The weight of what I'm towing really doesn't matter very much. Because for every uphill there's a downhill, but the aero makes the world of difference. Even a $10 tarp from Bunnings and some gaffer tape to strap the tarp over my load and make it turn it from being a square into a diamond made a massive difference to my consumption. I could do 90 for the same cost in charge as what I was doing 60 before that. So
I couldn't agree more with that. It's all about aerodynamics rather than the weight. You're absolutely right. Yeah.
That's where I'm focusing at the moment.
Whereas with any car I've had in the past, it obviously aero makes a difference as well, but you notice the weight because for every uphill you didn't get it back when you come back downhill, whereas now we do.
You don't get all of it back, but you get a proportion of it.
Yeah, you get a pretty fair, significant portion of it. The test, I live on Red Hill, obviously, so I get a fair idea on what I get back up and down a decent hill every day, and we get most of it back, nearly all of it back.
Exactly. So what Pete had before was I had to go 8,000 kilometers to find the next Model Y. 8,900, nearly 9,000 k's before I saw another Model Y. And it was Pete. That was our casual meetup at Barclay Homestead, and no one else turned up. At least Pete did.
Where was everyone? You didn't.
I know. Really, 2 people. Is that all we could muster? That's just not good enough. Just not good enough. But yes, that was a great venture. That's for sure. Can't wait for that. That was Oz Y tour. I can't wait for an Oz CT tour.
Yeah.
Oz CT tour. And then the Oz semi tour. And then we'll get the whole set and we'll do a big convoy. Ba ba. An electrically powered air horn for sure.
Well,
For
that's
sure.
already a thing, Harold. You can just go and get one of them and stick it in your Model Y if you really wanted.
I think Harold will have that before he has his semi. That will be the first accessory that he'll have ready to go.
That's right. Exactly.
Nuts. Before the
I will.
Yeah.
All right. I think on that note, we have had a champagne Ask Us Anything.
Thank you very much, everybody.
Absolutely, Tim. And look, good luck with your venture and welcome back anytime at all, even if just to chew the fat and talk about stuff. But in the end, I'm confident sometime next year you're going to, or later this year, you're going to say, hey, I bit the bullet and bought a Model Y anyway.
Yeah.
Because it just made sense. But
I'm starting to think down that path already. But yeah, no, thank you very, very much.
No worries. Absolute pleasure. And for everyone else, certainly look forward to seeing you on Sunday at Two Rocks for a casual meetup. And then, of course, next week on Ask Us Anything. So, Pete, how would you normally see out an awesome show like this?
So always stay safe, stay sustainable, and stay ahead of the curve.
And the best way to do that is buy a Tesla, join Tokwa, and ask us anything about accelerating the world's transition to sustainable energy. Good night, everyone. Really look forward to seeing you next week on another episode of Ask Us Anything. Good night, all.
See you guys.
Bye.
Good night.